It's time for Twit This Week in Tech, and what a week this has been. This may be, I don't know, start your stopwatches, the longest twit ever. But John C. Dvorak's here, Natalie Morris, Denise Howell. We'll talk about the Aereo decision, the new FCC rules, big earnings for Apple, but the iPad is down. What's going on? The week's tech news next on Twit.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for This Week in Tech is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com. This is Twit This Week in Tech, episode 455, recorded April 27th, 2014. Bagel Shop Loafer. This Week in Tech is brought to you by Nature Box, where you can order great-tasting, healthy snacks delivered right to your door. Forget the vending machine and get in shape with healthy, delicious treats like chili, lime, pistachios. Oh, baby! To get 50% off your first box, go to naturebox.com/twit. And by Gazelle, the fast and simple way to sell your used gadgets. Find out what your used Apple and Android devices are worth right now at Gazelle.com. And by Stamps.com. Start using your time more effectively with Stamps.com. Use Stamps.com to buy and print real U.S. postage the instant you need it right from your desk. For our special offer, go to Stamps.com, click the microphone, and enter TWIT. And by GoToMeeting with HD Faces from Citrix, the powerfully simple way to meet with coworkers and clients anywhere. Share the same screen and see each other face-to-face with HD video conferencing. Even present from an iPad. Start your 30-day free trial of GoToMeeting today. Visit GoToMeeting.com, click the Try It Free button, and use the promo code TWIT. It's time for Twit This Week in Tech, the show that covers your tech news. And boy, there's a lot of it this week. That means it's going to be a short show. Whenever I say there's no news, the show is very long. Whenever I say there's no news, it's always very short.
The irony of the world.
That's John C. Dvorak, a master of irony. Good to have you. ChannelDvorak.com. Also, the No Agenda Show.
Now twice a week.
Now twice weekly. Also here, Natalie Morris. Natalie.
Yep. Yes.
I almost wanted to call you Natalie Clayton Morris, but it's not really fair to call you Natalie Clayton Morris.
I am Mrs. Clayton
Natalie,
Morris, but I do have my own identity.
Natalie Del Conte Morris. You weren't, when you were, when you got engaged at first, you didn't write Mrs. Clayton Morris 100 times just to practice.
No. And I was engaged for about 5 minutes. We got
It was
married
brief.
On a whim at our lunch hour.
It was cute. It was really cute.
There was no engagement.
So nice to have you back. Welcome.
No engagement.
Thank you.
And I brought in a ringer today because we needed expert help from Denise Howell, who's the host of This Week in Law, blogs at Bag and Baggage. And do you still blog at Bag and Baggage?
Well, once upon a time, I blogged at Bag and Baggage. It's sort of morphed into my website because I really don't blog that regularly.
Nobody
anymore.
blogs anymore. Blogging's dead. Everybody knows that.
Exactly.
But
I need to read to it.
That's how I first met you. We were at some conference or something, and I was sitting behind you, and I was watching you blog as we were during the speaker.
Yeah,
and I thought,
used to do a lot of that.
That is somebody who's dedicated to blogging.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. You haven't posted in a year and a half. So that's over. Anyway, great to have you. Denise does a great show on our network every week where they talk about stuff like from an expert point of view because they're all attorneys. But we thought we'd bring you in on this FCC thing.
Yeah. We talked a lot about it last week.
I know you did, and very good. By the way, you've had 2 shows in a row that are great. In fact, I'm trying to get the guy you had on our last invention.
Was he not great?
Fascinating. I got his book because of that.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get him on triangulation. He basically says, as soon as we invent intelligent machines, we're dead. It's over.
Yes.
So.
Yes. James Barrett.
James Barrett. Thank you. Mm-hmm. So on Wednesday, the Wall Street Journal published a story saying tomorrow the FCC is going to publish new. Now these are not new rules, but new proposed rules that will change how they treat the internet. Essentially, that will allow paid access. Everything we're trying to fight with net neutrality will allow internet service providers to charge edge providers, people like us, people like YouTube, people like Netflix, for either full access or improved access to their customers. This is something, of course, that is completely antithetical to the notion of net neutrality. The next day, they do, in fact, propose those rules, but Tom Wheeler, the chairman of the FCC, writes a blog post and says, wait a minute, there's nothing different here. This is exactly how we've always done it. And a number of, I think, fairly authoritative tech blogs picked that up and said, no, don't panic. Everything's fine. Well, it's a lie.
How is this?
It's a lie.
What's the lie?
Well, I'll point you to, I think, a very good article, and I'll let Denise comment, from Barbara von Schiwick from the Center for Internet Society and Society at Stanford Law School. The FCC changed course on net neutrality. Here's why you should care. Wheeler, who is, by the way, not only a longtime cable and wireless industry lobbyist before he became the FCC chairman, but in the Hall of Fame for the cable industry and the wireless industry. This guy...
Where is that Hall of Fame?
He's in the Hall of freaking Fame for both industries.
Yeah, where is this Hall of Fame?
I don't, it's not in Cleveland. That's all I know.
Do they have his bust there?
I don't know what a Hall of Fame is. It's a
who
plaque.
even said he's in the
I
Hall of
imagine
Fame?
it involves a plaque. But he was also made, President Obama made him the chairman of the FCC. You remember that the FCC did create a open internet proposal. What are you looking at?
I'm trying to figure out how to get to this page of yours.
Well, go to, it's in our doc. Do you have the doc? Drive.google.com.
Way to prepare, John.
I'm honest.
I believe
on an
Natalie
alien,
has read it.
I'm in an alien machine.
I did my homework.
That's the size of the
cyberlaw.stanford.edu.
There we go.
And it is I think is, of all the articles I've read, the clearest. I'll just set this up, and Denise, I would love to get your take on this, because you've obviously thought a lot about it. According to the Journal on Wednesday, regulators are proposing new rules on internet traffic that would allow broadband providers to charge companies a premium for access to their fastest lanes. This is the Journal trying to make it, understandable.
Everything's a road.
The proposal would allow providers, Comcast, let's use Comcast as an example here, because they're about to become the largest internet provider. Well, they already are, but when they merge with Time Warner, an even more humongous, powerful internet service provider. The proposal would allow providers to give preferential treatment, those words should bother you, to traffic from some content providers, along as such arrangements are available on commercially reasonable terms for all interested content companies. The FCC will decide what is commercially reasonable on a case-by-case basis. In a blog post in response, Chairman Wheeler, he calls it setting the record straight. There's been a great deal of misinformation that's surfaced. This is not a change. So I think this is an example of the big lie. If you lie big enough and boldly enough, with enough confidence, people go, oh, see, Chairman Wheeler said it's not a change. No problem.
Well, why is he saying that? Does he believe it's not a change, or do you think he's actually overtly lying, which is what you just said?
I personally think that he is overtly lying, that he knows this is a revolving door, and just as other commissioners and chairmen, by the way, his predecessor, Michael Powell, has his old job at the National Cable Television Association, the NCTA. He's the boss there. This is a revolving door. Commissioners routinely go back to industry where they make big bucks. I think Chairman Wheeler expects this.
So you're accusing Wheeler, an Obama appointee, I might add, of corruption.
That. Yes.
Okay.
It's absolutely
I just want to get
correct.
that part straight.
Of being play to the system that already is corrupted. You know for a fact that he is greased and wined and dined by lobbyists who...
He is a lobbyist. He doesn't have to be greased. He is. And Obama appointed him, put him, the fox, in charge of the hen house. All right, Denise Howell. So what this comes down to is, and by the way, there is hope. So first of all, this is a proposal. The FCC will vote on it, and then after the commissioners vote, there will be a period of public comment. This goes back to the recent court case. Verizon sued the FCC over this open internet proposal and won. And the court, and we had you on, Denise, at that time, gave them a very clear roadmap. They said the Telecommunications Act, specifically Section 706 of the Telecommunications Act, requires the FCC to allow these kinds of fees. The court said, so in other words, you cannot enforce this open internet, but there is an exception. If you declare the internet service providers to be common carriers, to be utilities, then you can block fees. You can have an open internet. Chairman Wheeler, for reasons we don't, well, I know why, but for reasons he doesn't say, has decided not to follow the court's suggestion, not to declare ISPs common carriers. And so as a result, he has no choice but to allow access fees. Denise, is that a correct summary?
You have teed this up really, really well, Leo, and it's a complicated issue. So kudos to you for doing that. Shall I go ahead and give you my take?
Yes, please.
All right. So first of all, I would like to know exactly what it is that we're talking about here. So far, we haven't seen these proposed new rules unless they were published in full text in the Wall Street Journal. I have not read the Wall Street Journal article.
The Journal released this the day before saying, here they come.
Right. So, but they haven't come. We haven't seen them yet. So there has been this whole tornado of news coverage around something no one has yet seen.
Well, now Wheeler did in his blog say, here's what the notice will propose.
Right. I think we have a pretty good idea that it's going to contain some provision for an internet fast lane.
So you're saying they never released these proposals as they were supposed to on Friday?
Yeah, I know. I kept refreshing before This Week in Law on Friday to see if we could,
If that's true, why are you so worked up?
Yeah, nobody has seen as far as I know, please correct me,
No, you're right. No one has seen these.
I still don't think anybody has,
the Wall Street Journal, I think some other operation, they got special copies because they were, and I don't know why that was, but just to screw everybody else.
It's also possible the FCC, as it often happens in government, floated what we call a trial balloon. They said, let's see what the reaction is if we were to propose this. And obviously, I hope that the reaction was strong enough that maybe they've thought better of it. Tom Wheeler, in his blog post at fcc.gov, says, to be clear, this is what the notice will propose. All ISPs must transparently disclose to their subscribers and users all relevant information as to the policies that govern their networks. That's great. They must say, yeah, we're demanding you to pay us extra. They have to tell us
Where does it say that, demanding?
Well, that's one of the things that they... No legal content may be blocked.
Right.
Nobody said it will be. And that ISPs may not act in a commercial, this is where you get in trouble, in a commercially unreasonable manner to harm the internet.
You don't think that second thing's a little sketchy?
That no legal content may be blocked?
Yeah.
Why is that sketchy?
Well, don't you realize that the United Nations is creating these rules and regulations against hate speech?
Who declares it illegal? All right.
So that there is a very nasty little thing to sneak in. I'd be more concerned about that. That's SOPA.
Exactly.
He's saying
civil illegality versus criminal legality should be taken into consideration there. Again, we haven't seen this thing. So, we're going by Chairman Wheeler's statements and the Wall Street Journal summary. I think, we need to actually see this thing to be able to talk intelligently about it. Even though no one has seen it, the FCC has opened up a new inbox for comments about its new open internet proposal, which no one has seen yet. If people have comments, they can email the FCC at openinternet@fcc.gov, and I'm sure the FCC is getting an earful. But
he says it should be noted that Title II regulation, this is the Communications Act regulation, only bans unjust and unreasonable discrimination.
Right. So his point, you realize his point there.
Yes, it has to be reasonable.
Well, no, here's what he's saying there. He is addressing let's back up to 2010 when the first open internet law rules from the FCC were enacted.
And those we liked.
Under
original
then Chairman Janikowski. Well, really nobody liked them.
Oh.
Because the people who were in favor of net neutrality did not, and strong prophylactic net neutrality, did not think that they went far enough.
Right.
And the people who are not in favor of big government regulating business and having a lot of monkeying around in what sort of private arrangements businesses can make with each other, didn't like them either because they began to go down that road. So they really didn't make anybody too happy.
Which is the test of a good rule, in my opinion.
Right.
So
go ahead.
Remember, Tom Wheeler was not there then.
Right.
The open
this is
internet
Julius
rules,
Janikowski.
Right.
Right.
We're not Tom Wheeler's rules.
Right.
But one of the reasons that the original open internet rules, which were taken out by the Second Circuit Court of Appeals recently, one of the reasons people didn't like it is what you've alluded to, this going under Section 706 as opposed to regulating the internet as a common carrier. They didn't do that. So what he is saying here when he says,
by the way,
it should be noted that even Title II regulation only bans unjust and unreasonable discrimination. He's saying even if we reclassify, which we still could do, but we're not doing now, but if we do it, we're still under the same standard. Only unjust and unreasonable discrimination will be forbidden. So he's saying it's 6 to 1, half dozen the other. You
saying,
don't like where we are now, but
even if you declare it a common carrier, they aren't. But what I think the district court was pretty clear that if you don't do that, you're very limited in what you can do as the FCC.
Right, you're very limited in.
That's why they overturned these open internet rules. They said they're not legal.
Right, you have to go under
706.
In order to do what you've done, you have to go under Title II instead of Title I. You have to call it a common carrier instead of a communication service as opposed to an information service, and then you have more leeway.
It struck me that the court was saying to them, if you wish to pursue these open internet rules, and we think that's a good thing, there was very clear language in the opinion that we understand why it's important to have an open internet, then you need to pursue Title II. You need to declare the ISPs common carriers, right? That seemed like the court was pushing them that way.
I wouldn't say the court went so far as to try and tell the FCC what to do. It gave the FCC some options.
Right.
It said you're either going to have to rework the rules under your existing framework, or you're going to have to jump to the other framework.
Or what you want it to do is illegal.
Right.
So they overturned the open internet rules, and we've been waiting to hear back from the FCC. Well, what is your response to this? What their response is, okay, fine, we won't have an open internet.
Well, what their response is I think here, if you read Chairman Wheeler, that the open internet will, under the FCC's rules,
he says it
prevent commercially unreasonable steps.
Right.
And require transparency, but we're going to allow private deals for preferential treatment.
I want to be clear that this isn't the kind of deal that Netflix made with Comcast earlier a couple of months ago. That was a
peering deal.
That was a peering deal. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the Edge deals with Edge networks. Direct deals with somebody like Twit or somebody like Netflix saying, if you would like fast lane access to our customers, we would like to be paid for that. And that would then, now the reason I have a very big stake in this, and I think everybody in the country has a big stake in it, is Twit wouldn't exist if our live stream stuttered and was unusable and buffered a lot because we didn't have fast lane access. I don't care that it's commercially reasonable for AT&T or rather YouTube and Vimeo to pay $1 a customer. That might be commercially reasonable, but it's not viable for me.
Right.
And as this, I think, excellent article from the Stanford Law School pointed out, eBay, Yahoo, Facebook, even Google itself wouldn't exist in a world where they had to pay. YouTube would not exist in the early days if they had to pay. Now they can afford it. That's not the question. Do you get the same kind of innovation? More than that, do you get the same kind of free speech? And
you know, don't you think that you're exaggerating this issue? And I'm saying that.
Why? Because I think Comcast is so trustworthy.
I don't really think that they're out to do evil.
What?
Overtly. I mean, it's nice to say, well, geez, the whole thing is a scam to get you to cough up more money. The real basis for this whole thing is the public itself. all they want is Netflix. Netflix is hogging all the bandwidth. Netflix should have a peering deal and have to pay extra to get on that faster lane, as it were. I hate to use that analogy, because they're the ones that are chewing up all the bandwidth. They're the ones who everybody wants to see at night after 6 o'clock. Everybody goes on Netflix. It's a known fact that the whole internet is clogged by Netflix. That's what it's about. It's about video. Yeah, you may be affected in some way, shape, or form. But I don't think that it's going to deteriorate by any means. These are private networks. We're not talking about the public internet. We're talking about the private backbones is what really this is about.
No, that's the peering stuff, and I'm talking about the edge access fees.
But I think we're pretending that the internet is a democratizing type thing when it really isn't, because the barrier to me just making a network out of my house that competes with Twit is higher than just access to viewers. We're, by and large, a pretty unfriendly place to do business in the United States. So I think, not that I don't agree that the internet should be net neutral, but I also think that we're maybe being a little bit, what's the word I want to use? We're romanticizing this.
No, I disagree. I'm going to quote. I disagree. I'm going to quote Barbara Van Schwick on this again from the Stanford.
And let me ask you a question before we make that quote.
Utopian is the word. I think we pretend that the web is a bit utopic, and it's not. There's a great book on this topic called "The Myth of the Digital Democracy," and they talk about how it's not just as easy to start a blog or if you want to compete with Facebook, it's not just a matter of access to speed and viewers. There's a lot more that goes into that. I'm going to put the link in the chat room, guys, for this book.
She writes, finally, access fees may impose serious collateral damage on values like free speech or a more participatory culture by making it more difficult for individuals or nonprofits to be heard or to find an audience for their creative works. Today, individuals and nonprofits can put their content online at low cost, and when it travels across the network, that content receives the same service from the network as commercial content. By contrast, access fees would create two classes of speakers, those who can pay to receive better treatment and those who cannot afford to do so, often individuals and groups with unpopular or new viewpoints, like activists or artists.
And who's proposed access fees that she's complaining about? Where are these access fees?
How do you get traffic to those people? It's not like your voice is the same as my voice. They're different. There's so much else that goes into getting an audience besides just access.
All right, that's fine. You can talk about marketing and so forth, but the fundamental right to be heard on the internet at an equal is what has made the internet so powerful. And I point again to startups like eBay and Facebook that would not exist if they had to pay for access to customers. They would not be on an equal internet. We're talking about a two-tiered internet.
Who's proposing this two-tiered access?
I'll give you an example. AT&T that is saying to... Who did AT&T...
Well, let's go with Comcast. Comcast has the business thing, and they got the regular one.
AT&T said, if you pay us money, we will not count your bandwidth against our customers' usage caps. That's the same thing, by the way. This is the equivalent of an access fee. So they go to YouTube and say...
It's not an access fee.
If you want... It is exactly an access fee. If you want our customers to watch all they want of YouTube, just give us some money. We won't count it. Pay for, in effect, their internet access. That's exactly an access fee. And it disadvantages any company that's not willing to pay that fee, because then, as a customer, I know it's counting against my bandwidth if I go see Vimeo instead of YouTube. So it totally makes a difference. And that's already happening. It's if the FCC does not get involved, you can absolutely bet Comcast goes to each and every one of these internet edge companies and says, okay, you want to have nice high-speed access to our customers, you're going to give us $1 a customer.
How about having a little more competition? Maybe these guys should stop all these crazy mergers.
Thank you to the FCC for no competition, by the way. It's because of the FCC that we have a duopoly in this country.
That is a different argument.
But it's all the part of the same argument, which is that if you do not take steps today to protect open internet access, you will not have the same internet we have today in just a few years. Then Denise, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I totally agree with you that it's part of the same argument, because how you feel about market forces has everything to do with how you feel about net neutrality. If you feel like the market is capable of dictating that unfair things won't happen, because if the ISPs make deals that favor certain people and don't favor others, and it winds up damaging the consumer experience, if you believe that the market's going to cry loudly and bring pressure about that kind of thing, then you're not so concerned about the internet fast lane, because the ISPs are going to have to respond to the market, right? You also have in your camp, if you're one of these people that believes the market can fix things, the fact that we have antitrust laws and consumer protection laws that are already on the books that are there to fill the gaps in this too. If you're someone, and Baron Soka, who we've had on the show before, who is very much, I've got to say, if there are people in different camps and out on the ends of both sides of this issue, Baron Soka is very much on the side that net neutrality, even the original open internet rules went too far. He calls it prophylactic legislation or prophylactic regulation, that we're, as John is suggesting, we're perhaps regulating something that's not happening yet because we're afraid and we don't want it to happen.
I believe in a free market, and I believe if there were a free market, if there were competition, this would not be a problem. But it's also apparent that there isn't competition. And John, this is a great from Doug Ross.
I have 3 possible ISPs in my neighborhood, and I use Sonic.net and Comcast, but I can also get AT&T. There's some competition there, and this Sonic guy up here, wherever
Dane
he is.
Jasper, yeah.
Dane, he says, look, I'm not even going to take logs.
He's not. He is absolutely going to be a competitor. The problem is, it's DSL. It's coming in over AT&T's copper.
He's taking his profits, and he's digging ditches.
He needs to ditch.
He is putting fiber everywhere he can.
Good luck getting those
but you
right
live
away.
in the San Francisco Bay Area, where of course you have great choices for broadband, and how much of the country does not. And I think to Denise's point, for those of you who think that this would otherwise shake itself out, we don't live in that kind of government. And think about all of our quantitative easing lately. We don't let things shake itself out. We legislate before it's a problem, and it could be a perversion.
I think this cartoon is great from Doug Ross. This illustrates what Comcast wants to do, which is the same exact tiering they do now with your cable. For $39.99 a month, you get ESPN, CNN, Fox, and ABC. $49.99 a month, you get Dig, Flickr, Facebook. This kind of tiering is exactly what Comcast wants to do. You can't deny that.
I do deny it. I do not believe that they want to do this. This is an exaggeration.
Why would they
want to do that? It's crazy. Oh, you have to pay extra to get Facebook? You think their customers are going to go shoot the guys? I mean, they're going to string them up.
I actually don't believe that you will be prevented access to any site. I think it's going to be much more subtle than that. What you'll do is get better access to the people who pay. That's all. I agree with you. And in fact, I think that's what Chairman Wheeler is saying. No legal content may be blocked means you can't say you got to buy a package to get Facebook. I think that's probably what he's saying.
Dan Gilmore has a really good Guardian piece on this on the other end of the spectrum, on the side that says, yes, we actually need to regulate here because it's not something that the market and existing regulation is going to be able to take care of. And his headline is, the FCC is about to axe murder net neutrality. And he winds up calling Tom Wheeler former cable and wireless industry lobbyist, I think 6 or 7 times in the article.
Let's make it really, really clear that Tom Wheeler is the fox in charge of the hen house. He is a guy who is representing the industry and the interests of the industry over and above the interests of us as users.
Here's what I find amusing. We've gone years and years and years and years, and there's guys in the chat room calling me an idiot. That's fine. We've gone years and years and years trying to keep the government out of the internet. Oh, God, if these guys get involved, we're all screwed. And we're just letting them get involved, and this is just another foot in the door, another camel head in the tent, and this is where it's going to head. It's not going to be good.
We're not asking the government
when he was appointed, this is exactly what we were afraid of.
Yeah.
You can play back the tape. We were afraid this would happen.
Yes.
Dan is concerned, and I'm concerned too, about this point. And it goes to the graphic that you just showed, Leo, that with an internet fast lane permitted, what that means is the ISPs double dip. They charge their customers on the one end and the poor customers, they've been getting the raw end of the deal for so long. You know, you're promised up to certain speeds that you really don't get. And it's, nobody's happy with the level of internet service that they are receiving. But they're paying for it anyway because,
for that matter.
Right. So the customers are already not in a great situation, but their lot is not going to improve when the ISPs are also getting paid by edge providers who want to reach those customers, what's going to happen at the customer level? You're paying for premium internet access, say, for example, but even that is not going to get you the fastest access to anybody who's not also paying on the back end. And if you're not paying for premium access, what is your internet service going to look like? Not great.
Well, it's going to look like your DSL, because I think in many cases that's what you're getting is sub-premium service over DSL.
Well, this is new, because when we first started off, if you recall, and you could buy a T1 line, and nobody was getting T1 speeds. They took the T1 line and divvied it up amongst a bunch of users and said, you're getting a T1. This is bull crap.
I think that, let me ask you this,
This is not a
Denise,
new situation.
I would like to know what the legal story is here. Why is Tom Wheeler reluctant to declare ISPs common carriers? What he says, because there's no difference between Title II and Title III.
Well, I don't think he says there's no difference. He just says, bear in mind that we have a similar sort of standard under Title II that's going to govern the kinds of behavior that we can regulate.
Well, that's his weasel words.
Unjust
why
and unreasonable
you shouldn't care. You pay no attention to this. This is not a problem. But seriously, why won't the FCC is there a reason why they don't want to declare ISPs common carriers?
I think it's a political hot potato. I don't think the ISPs want to be common carriers. There are a whole lot of other regulatory concerns that come into play that they do not want to be under. So yeah, reclassification is going to be a tough sell in Washington.
AT&T is a common carrier for telephony.
Mm-hmm.
It strikes me that ISP is also telephony. It's also telecommunications. Right. Is Comcast as a cable company considered a common carrier? Do we know? Maybe we don't know.
A television cable company. I don't believe so.
It strikes me this is all telecommunications, and they are
right.
Basically, these are ISPs are utilities now. They're the electric company, they're the water company, and they should be required to treat all bits as equal. Period. I think they should be able to recoup their costs. I'm not saying that. They should be able to make a fine profit. I'm not saying that. But they cannot be allowed to, in effect, decide which is good and which is bad content. All content needs to be equal on the internet.
And I think it's so funny that they fight against being a utility, because if you look at the stock market, utilities are the things that outperform all of the fancy stuff, all the high-tech stock. They don't bubble and burst. A utility is where the money is in terms of long-term investing. So, why fight that?
Dr. Mom points out that if Verizon provides her with phone service over copper, common carrier. If it provides her with phone service over fiber, they're not regulated. This is a little disjoint here, and I think this could be done better. Look, as hard as this is to explain to you guys are all enthusiasts, you're all geeks, you understand this better. Imagine how normal people, this is completely beyond them.
They don't care.
You're right, John. They want faster Netflix. They don't care. But we have to care because we, as geeks, understand how important a free and open internet is. So the burden is absolutely on us, much more so, to contact your member of Congress, write to that mailbox. I'll get it again from Denise when she comes back, and say, you need to declare ISPs a common carrier. That's the way out of this. That's the way to true open internet rules. We need to enforce that. It's the will of the people, and ultimately the will of the people matters more, even to Tom Wheeler. Well, maybe not to Tom Wheeler. It certainly matters to your members of Congress more than what Comcast or AT&T thinks. Denise, what's the email address to write to the FCC about this?
One more time. It's openinternet@fcc.gov.
It should be open internet ? Open FC.
Yeah. I have a question that I haven't really heard it discussed in these terms before, but it has to do with the way that internet services have changed over the years, and the way that now there's so much video content being delivered over the internet, whereas, back in the day, we were just doing our Alta Vista searches and thrilled to be online. and how that should all factor into this equation. It does seem to me like the way you price internet should change in light of all that. Doesn't it seem that way to you, Leo?
Well, there's an interesting question. How are you going to answer that without the net neutrality argument?
Because, very simply.
And let me just chime in before you do that.
Okay.
Which is, I think there should be I think it should be, Terry. I think it's people who want to watch Netflix all the time should have a different fee. Essentially,
I agree, but it shouldn't be about Netflix. It's a tiering for speed.
A virtually different access path because you're watching videos all the time.
That's not illegal, and it's not against the rules, and it's a perfectly good way to run your business. I do it right now. I can pay for higher speed internet or slower speed internet. What I don't want is an internet where the high speed internet has access only to certain edge providers. All edge providers must be equal across all those tiers. Then that is an open internet. It's not wrong or illegal or in any way immoral to say if you want 50 megabits per second, you pay more. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is I don't want to have to pay more so that I get good Netflix. I want to pay for 50 megabits a second and choose the provider I want. Does that make sense? Otherwise, you're not going to get a new Netflix. Netflix is going to be the incumbent, is going to own the market, and Voodoo's going to say goodbye.
Right. Well, there's about 40 of these guys.
Right, and they're going to all drop off because only the guys who can afford to pay, quote, commercially reasonable fees have parity, be usable. I'm sorry, go ahead, Natalie. Were you saying something, Natalie, or was it Denise?
No.
It was Denise. Sorry.
I may be comparing apples and oranges, but it does remind me a little bit of what we went through with CARP way back in the early days of regulating internet radio, when internet radio stations were being priced like terrestrial radio and having to pay additional fees that were driving internet radio stations out of business. Again, it may be apples and oranges, but I do think that we need to be paying attention to that issue of the little guy getting hit with fees that the little guy shouldn't be expected to bear. And that in those kinds of situations, it's not so much a consumer issue. It's more a consumer protection issue. And we do have consumer protection laws out there to look after the consumers. It's more a small business protection issue.
Well, let me ask a question of you about that. Because I'm in total agreement about the rip-off that took place during the internet radio era.
Yeah. How much internet music radio is there these days?
No, there's very little.
It killed it.
Now, but at the same time, I have to say, and of course you may have accused me about this earlier, being a little too much of a free market type, if the guys who own the content, in the case of internet radio, decide that you just can't have it cheaply, whose business is it to tell them no? I mean, it just seems to me that that's just the way it is. I mean, I'm not a big content nutcase where, I got my content. Sumner Redstone, I ran into him once, and he says, "That's mine, it's mine." He's like very, adamant about this. But in fact, it is.
It is. It hasn't worked out too well for the music industry. That kind of, it's
There's
mine, it's mine.
There's probably more bands than ever. There's probably...
thanks to the internet. And thanks to the fact that they failed.
It did work out.
Yeah, unless you ran Soma.fm, then maybe it didn't work out.
And if you're a big label, sometimes it doesn't work for you either. But we've always admitted that the internet has changed things. I
agree.
Seeing all these books come out about the internet's changed everything but advertising, when it's exactly changed advertising radically.
It's changed everything. It's changed everything. But no, I agree with you. I am not anti-market. I think the free market, if it's truly a free market, works quite well. There's a few areas where you have to regulate, like antitrust, and there's a few businesses like healthcare where a free market solution, in fact, doesn't give you the proper outcome, and we all know that. But in most cases, a free market would solve this, but we just don't have real competition. So maybe the solution is to force the cable companies to allow other internet service providers to ride on their wires. That's illegal right now. They're not forced to do that. The telcos are.
Well, yeah, the telcos are, and that's why I get Sonic.net.
That's why you have Sonic. Now, wouldn't it be great if somebody went to the cable companies and said, you've made enough money on that ditch you dug. We're going to require you now to allow other providers in on your cable.
It would be an interesting thing to see.
If everybody had 10 internet service providers, I wouldn't worry about this.
Well, in the early days, there was plenty. We had all kinds of service providers, and then they all got bought up, and nobody seemed to care.
The Tom Wheelers of the world took over. Let me tell you, that's what happened. As soon as they saw money in the internet,
Well, we should be fighting against this anti-competitive nature of these operations as opposed to anything else.
I'll accept that solution. That's a good solution. That would be.
But let me run down what Dan Gilmore says.
Dan has some great ideas. Yeah.
Yeah, because he says, don't get mad, get even. His first push is for reclassification, but he acknowledges that doing that would not be simple or without unintended consequences. Then he goes on to say what you were just saying, Leo, create genuine competition. That
community
ISPs should have
broadband
to share their lines at a fair price with competing ISPs.
The community
He says other
broadband
countries
movie
do
is
this, and we
fabulous.
should give it a try.
Dan Frankston
Yeah.
is a big proponent. Dan Frankston. What's his name? Bob Frankston is a big proponent of community broadband. That's a great solution. And we have our own Malik on from time to time. He raves about his community broadband internet access. I don't think that internet service provider is going to go to the edge networks and say, would you like to be in our apartment building? You got to give me some more money. And that's not going to happen. So that's one. Competition.
What does John think about this one? The best solution, says Dan, taxpayers should pay for a fiber everywhere system and then let competing ISPs use it to compete in a genuine free market. But don't hold your breath on that one.
Well,
when I mentioned that on my show, Evan Brown said, oh, okay, so the government then is going to be in charge of a fiber everywhere system. Now, I'm not sure if taxpayers are paying that necessarily means that the government
Well,
is
the
in charge.
taxpayers did pay for rural electrification back in the 30s.
The interstate highway system, there's good precedent for this. Actually, what Frankston says is local governments should assert the right of eminent domain and say, you know what? Thank you for putting in all that infrastructure. It's now the utility, and what we're gonna do is let you ride on it. We will maintain it. We will charge you a reasonable fee. And if Comcast and AT&T and Verizon and everybody else want to ride on it, that's great because more competition is good. Frankston has a very direct roadmap for how this could all work, but it does require something that's never going to happen, which is that local governments develop.
No, the local governments are as corrupt as anybody. They've been bought off largely. I'm not even sure these contracts you can do that anymore. What he describes.
Eminent domain, you can do anything you want.
Seems to me that some of these cable companies in local areas should have been taken over by the locals.
I have
but then who's going to
experience.
manage it? These guys are crazy.
I have direct experience in Petaluma. I was on the technology committee until I quit in dismay.
Aha.
Because local politics is very frustrating. But you know, as with every town in the country, we made a deal, in this case with Comcast, for a monopoly in this region. That's how you get a regional monopoly. Comcast has a monopoly here. Comcast promised all sorts of things. Internet to schools, low-cost business.
And they never delivered.
Never delivered any of it. And the local government not only doesn't have the clout or the lawyers or the willpower to fight it. So they're just going, yeah, well, Comcast kind of screwed us, but what are we going to do? Because I'll tell you what, you're the city council member who said we're going to get Comcast out of here. You're going to hear from every voter in town that says, wait a minute. That's how I watch American Idol.
You'd have to have somebody you'd have to have a very high-end person within the city.
I tried very hard, and there are some smart people on the technology committee, but ultimately the lack of will just really is frustrating.
Well, that's what happened kind of to me up in Port Angeles. I have the public utilities, the local government, the PUD, they're the ones who own the cable. They had the fiber. And so we had a fiber going down the street. We actually had it strung. And we bought directly from them. And then the next thing you know, Verizon kind of got their foot in the door, and they're now providing some aspect of this. And then the next thing you know, they sell the whole thing to a local company that's been kind of hogging the internet, old-fashioned internet. And now we're just this great deal that we had is like all screwed up because of these local governments that are incompetent. But that's.
Have you guys read Flash Boys?
We were just talking
what
about
he's
that before the
talking
show.
about.
I'm reading it right now. Man, is that good.
So
My
the
dad is
first
reading it. He
chapter
loves
is
it.
all about this, about how people who lay the fiber then act in a nefarious way. It's specifically about spread networks, which they worked to kind of overtly or covertly rather lay down a fiber line between the Chicago Exchange and the servers in New Jersey to most of the bigger exchanges in New York. And the speed at which you can get information between those trades is like 14.5 milliseconds or something crazy like that. What do they do with that information? Like, what do they do with that cable line? Do they sell it to someone who could use it? Do they do something good for it? No, they sell it to the big banks for something like $140 million a year or something like that. And most of the banks signed on right away no questions asked. And only one bank said, we just need to, sort of change the contract so it doesn't look like we didn't know that we couldn't use this on behalf of our customers. It's crazy town. So you think that people do really great things with this communication technology that they then own and put a lot of money into? By and large.
And by the way, the big funder on that was Jim Barksdale of Netscape fame.
There you go.
He put up all the money to lay the straightest fiber line they could possibly lay between Chicago and Nutley, New Jersey.
It's crazy because they wouldn't even go around a shopping center. Right. They would badger the owner of that shopping center until they could lay the line right through. And when the construction crew was asking, why are we doing this again? And why do we have to go straight through this mountain and, straight through this farm? And they wouldn't tell them why. There's one drill in the whole world that can drill under the river. And it's in Brazil. And they got to figure out.
That's that giant German thing.
Yeah. So, all right. Enough. We've said our piece. Denise, would you like to stick around?
We've
you can take off
accomplished
if you want.
I would love to stick around. I would love to encourage people too. In addition to the articles we've already talked about, you put one in the rundown, Leo, that I thought was really good in the Atlantic. It's co-authored by a couple of people.
Credit
Alexis
to Chad
Madrigal
Johnson
and Adrienne Lafrance.
Yeah.
And it concludes really well, and I think that's a nice conclusion for our discussion here. It says, it turns out the fight about net neutrality isn't necessarily even about neutrality, at least not in the way it sometimes seems. Instead, we're sussing out where innovation begins and what government should do to encourage it. And I think that's exactly right.
Alexis Madrigal is incredible. And Chad, we've been trying for months to get him on he's in the Bay Area. We're trying to get him on Twit. He's one of the best, I think, most insightful writers on technology right now. Alexis, if you're listening, I've got a $100 bill right here. All you have to do is show
and
up.
possibly lunch.
Paying for access.
That's right.
I'll pay for access to Alexis. So cheer up, everybody! It's snack time. That was hard work, but NatureBox is here to the rescue. You know that happens after get to a point where you've been working hard all day and you just want to go out and have something. Maybe you go to that snack machine in the office, and then you eat something that's full of HFCs and trans fats, and you feel terrible the rest of the day. I got a better solution for you. In fact, that's what we order for the office is NatureBox. Go to naturebox.com/twit. I don't think you've been here for
No. I saw this when the first day you had it. That's when I took the
Would you like
bag
a
of some
pistachio power cluster?
No.
Nut squares with almonds, cashews, and pistachios.
No, there's something good in there, though.
This is good. I'll take this.
I'm sure it's good.
Sour cream and onion almonds, onion and garlic flavored almonds.
No.
Santa
I got
Fe.
one of those yesterday.
There was a
actually.
Did you get a NatureBox?
There was a blueberry
I
thing or
did.
some sort.
And,
they had.
whole wheat raspberry figgy
they had
bar?
these dehydrated
Yeah, that'd be fine.
sweet potato chip fries.
Aren't they incredible?
Yeah, they were good.
So here's the deal.
They were a little
No high
spicy.
fructose corn syrup ever. No trans fats ever. Everything is natural, no artificial flavors, no artificial sweeteners, no artificial colors. In fact, you can get an assortment. These are delivered to you monthly. I guess you get it more than monthly. We're probably going to have to start getting it weekly because people just whiz through these things.
Yeah, I saw you with the little show you do with Lisa.
They're good. Yeah, we were eating NatureBox.
You're plowing through this stuff.
I get hungry when we do Inside Twit. I get hungry.
You're just chewing away.
So did you like that, the cherry berry bonanza?
Yeah, that's a good one.
He's going to take it home.
Of course I'm going to take it home. You gave it to me.
It's yours to do whatever you choose. I want to try these pistachio power clusters. So here's the deal. You can go to naturebox.com and get half off your first box because we know once you try it, you're going to love it.
I'll try one of
You
those.
can.
Just saying.
You're such a mooch.
No.
Okay, I'll try one of those. This is the pistachio power cluster. You just see if you like that. You may not like it.
These are block. This is like a peanut brittle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's good for you, peanut brittle.
No,
So
peanut brittle's
these
not
are
bad.
healthy snacks. They're energy, they're power, they're good. And you can say
Peanut
if you
brittle's
want.
not that bad. Your dentist might have something else to say about that.
These are not dentist approved, but they are nutritionist approved. Okay.
No, those are. No,
Brush
you're
your
talking about
teeth
regular
afterwards.
Peanut brittle. Regular peanut brittle is
Oh, no,
not
yeah.
so good. But
Your dentist wouldn't
no, I
mind
got
this.
that too, and I thought it was good.
Oh, really good.
Yeah, I'm kind of picky about the kind of things I feed my kids, and everything in there was Natalie approved.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't get anything that I was like, no, I can't.
And if you have dietary restrictions, you can get gluten-free, you can get vegan, You can narrow it all down: savory, spicy, sweet. You can narrow it all down. But I would suggest getting the biggest box you can. They come in 3 sizes, and get 50% off. Can they get any size for 50% off, or is it one specific box? Do you know? Their first box, any size box. Get the biggest box, because then you get the widest variety.
I might have to get the box that's all chili lime pistachios, because those
are
good. The bomb.
Did we send you a box, Denise?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Wait, it's all gone. It's completely
that's the problem
around here.
They're not big enough. You did not get a box?
No, I did not.
Can we get a box sent to Mr. Oh, here, just take it.
No. I want a box. I want a special box, not a used box. No. I need to be sent.
He wants one in the mail. Hey, look what I found in Alamogordo, New Mexico. 8. Well, how many?
When
did they
were you
find?
in Alamogordo?
I wasn't. But this is the landfill. Remember this story we thought was apocryphal for years?
Yeah,
that Atari, this ET game was so bad, and it was so bad for the Atari 2600 console that, and the reason it really was bad is that they had to make it in like 6 weeks because they made the deal and then the movie was coming out. This was so bad that they ended up plowing them under in a landfill in Alamogordo, New Mexico. But everybody thought this might be, in fact, apocryphal. So a documentary crew got permission to dig up this landfill. They did it yesterday. What do you think they found?
A bunch of those things.
A bunch of these. I don't know. Is there a story about how many they found? They did find them. This is not an apocryphal story. By the way, they found other crap from Atari. Apparently, there were a few things that they needed to bury in the landfill.
It's very collectable now.
Well,
so I guess Atari is not compostable.
What does that go for on eBay?
I don't know, but it's sealed in the box. It's got the Atari holographic seal. This is the real deal.
Yeah.
E.T. the Extraterrestrial. We played it a little bit, and it is really awful.
You actually have a
well, you
device?
can play it online if you want.
Oh.
Because there's emulators. We'll just show you a little bit of it.
Yeah, but this is technology that's old as the hills.
Now, they only found, the 2600, I mean, it was like very primitive. They only found hundreds of cartridges. But I guess they probably didn't dig up the whole landfill. There will be a documentary about the whole thing. It's a little bit like Al Capone's vault, only they actually found something.
There's going to be a documentary, really?
This was wasn't it a Kickstarter?
Oh, God.
Or an Indiegogo? I think it was. I think they raised money.
Who cares?
So,
even Natalie's yawning.
Oh, well.
And I caught you.
Armando Ortega was a city official who in 1983 got a tip from the landfill employee about the massive dump of games. He says, it was pitch dark here that night, but we came with our flashlights, and we found dozens of games. They took the crushed cartridges. They actually rolled over it with a bulldozer so that people couldn't, like, dig up the cartridges and play the games.
Well, apparently that didn't work.
Is there anything in there that maybe should not be in our landfills? Like, those don't leach any chemicals or anything, right?
These are modern landfills. They seal them up.
Even so.
According to the New York Times article from September 28, 1983, 14 truckloads of discarded game cartridges and computer equipment were dumped on the site. The plant in El Paso, Texas, is about 80 miles south of Alamogordo.
Why does this have to be so secretive? In my community, we have Open Electronics Day once a month, and we can just go.
Atari could have just gone to the electronics recycling and said, "Here, take 500,000 cartridges."
Yeah, they can sell them for $1 a piece. A lot of people buy.
See, they're flattened because they rolled over them.
They can't deny you.
The company produced millions of these cartridges, and although sales initially were pretty good, almost all of the cartridges they sold were returned because the game was so freaking bad.
How bad was it, Leo?
You want to play it?
No.
We played it.
I was hoping you could just describe how bad it was.
Wait a minute. Is that a DeLorean?
Yeah, apparently.
Is that they dug up a DeLorean?
No, there's one buried in there.
People came from all around. I don't know. I just thought something a little.
Well, tell us what it was like. You said you played it.
It's incomprehensible.
It's just block characters, though. I mean, this is all the Atari games.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's very primitive. But this is my first experience of computers. Let's see, play ET.
This was your first? No, that's not true.
Well, we had them in school, but they were big computers, you know, and it was kind of hard to play. And then, the Atari.
Before that?
Apple II came out a little bit before the 2600.
When Leo got his first computer, it had a hand crank.
I bought the Atari 400 because first I got the 2600, and I played Battlezone. Here we go.
And then you bought the 24, the 400, which was a computer.
It had a membrane keyboard.
Right, it was horrible.
Oh my God! This is a YouTube video of the game. That's E.T. walking around.
Oh, fascinating.
No, but see that dot? That's important. Go to the dot. Ouch.
It's a Reese's Pieces.
Yeah,
There's one.
You got one.
Yeah.
Oh, Reese's
Each screen has 16
Pieces.
action
I get
areas in
it.
a 4x4 grid.
Okay, I get it.
You can see how boring this is.
Yeah, it's pretty
It was
bad.
incomprehensible. It was a terrible game. Now, Battlezone, that was a game.
Okay, it's enough.
I like the 8-bit sound.
Go in the hole, see what happens.
Uh-oh.
You're in a hole.
You got an H piece. You need to win. You need all 3 pieces to win the level.
Brother.
Problem is, Adventure. Now, that was a good game. Adventure.
Oh, yeah. Boy, there's a
Atari
game I wish I
2600
could play.
Adventure. That had an Easter egg in it.
Uh-huh.
Chad, just keep playing the game during the rest of the show. I like the...
Yeah, the noise is great. It's
So you're
was
not supposed to follow
Was it in
those holes?
stereo, perhaps?
No. It was 8-bit sound. Listen to
It's
that.
no Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare.
It is
I can
not.
tell you that.
Are you playing that? Isn't that awesome? That's the
Might
first-person shooter, Plants vs. Zombies. Are you playing that, or is your kid?
I am not. My kid is, and he's so excited because it's rated E10+, and yet it's like Modern Warfare and Call of Duty
Yeah.
and everything else. He's just stoked. He's like, it's one of these that my mom will let me play.
You're a plant, and you're shooting like peas at the bad guys, and it's so much fun.
Yeah. Grand Theft Auto's coming up.
You won't let him play. How old is he?
He's 10.
You won't let him play first-person shooters?
No.
No.
just-
Call of Duty, huh?
He's going to have to do
No,
it in the
nuh-uh.
high school bathroom.
They're too. It's for me. It's like being in Iraq. You know. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it
just
is.
too dang real.
If you've ever played it, it is. You are at war.
Yeah. And between the blood and the language, I think
And
it's
don't
a
let
little
him play
much
online. My God, the
Yeah.
language.
Yeah, I think it's a little much for 10. Give him a few years.
Wait till he's 11.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, more news.
Google Plus, it's over. It's what did Alexia Totsis? And by the way, we tried to get Alexia on the show because I wanted her to explain this on TechCrunch. She claims that sources have told her that Google Plus is the walking dead. That Google has transferred most of the Google Plus engineers to the Android division.
Why? What's Android got to do with it?
Because the apps. Well, okay.
That's how they break it up into pieces. When
Yeah.
they kill something off, they send that out as a piece of Android.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, I mean, Vic Gondutra, who was running Google Plus, he actually was a Microsoft guy who came to Google as a product manager. He managed all the iPhone apps, and then they gave him Google Plus. He's been there for 8 years. Not clear. He announced he was leaving the company. Not clear if he was fired.
Google Plus has been around for 8 years?
No. Google Plus is what, 3 years old? 3 years, I think. But before that, he was...
Seems like 8.
I love Google Plus.
Yeah, you do. Why is this?
Because it's a social network that real people don't use.
Yeah. Because you don't get idiots.
It's the
mostly
best-
Your
smart
mom's
people.
not on
It's
it.
my mom is not. It's the best way to stay in
You
touch.
and your mom is a big fan of me.
What?
Isn't that true?
She does. I love that Dvorak boy. She does love you.
Yeah.
Yeah. She thinks you're a whippersnapper.
That's the idea.
So, what do you think? Is this BS? Is this true? A Google representative has vehemently denied these claims. By the way, great article by Jessica Lesson in The Information, in which she talks about the culture of the vehement denial,
Yeah, that's a good one.
of which, by the way, Chairman Wheeler is the most recent.
So what does Elgin say about this? Because he's like the Google Plus nutcase. He's the one who exploits it the best.
What has Mike said anything?
He does. Anything he puts on Google Plus gets like 400 comments. But they're good comments. It's not just like show us your boobs kind of comments. Yeah.
Somebody in the chat.
Insightful kind of comments.
Somebody in the chat room put this. JCD predicted the end of Google+.
Oh, you predict the end of everything.
That's true. Because most of these things are crap.
And you're mostly right.
Yeah, I'm 90% right.
So Mike wrote a very interesting post on Computer World. I don't know if it's related. I think it is. Let me go to his Google Plus page, and I can get the link from it for you. Here's his posts. He says social networks are falling apart. He says this is an example of what's actually happening, and I totally agree with him. It's an opinion piece, but I think Mike nailed it. He says the new business model for social, it actually was invented by Google. And Facebook and others are now following it. Harvest personal data anywhere you can, then sell ads anywhere you can. So you ask, why did Facebook buy WhatsApp and Instagram and then not fold them into the product, but keep them intact? That's the strategy. That's going forward. That's what you're going to see. Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg even said this. The website, the desktop is no longer important. What they really want to do is be an ad platform across a variety of apps, share data from app to app, and that makes them much more valuable, and you get to use what you want. If you don't like Facebook, use WhatsApp. If you like Instagram, use Instagram. Google really invented this, if you think about it. Google has Gmail, Google Apps, Google+, YouTube. Just a few months ago, they changed their privacy policy so that all of these products could share data with each other. They're sharing advertising across it. You use any one of these, you're in the Google network. They sell ads across it. It actually makes perfect sense. I think Mike nailed it. And I think he's right that Facebook looked at Google and said, oh, that's what we should be doing.
You don't think it's just a fluke because they can't integrate anything?
Well, that was my initial thought, is like, oh, they just don't know what to do with WhatsApp.
And what's the point of integrating if you're going to, it seems lazy. It seems lazy,
though. Why integrate it? No, but I think the move, and I think Zuckerberg even said this, he's kind of influenced by Unix. The move is to have simple, straightforward tools that do one thing, make sure that there's a pipeline of data shared across them so that we can sell ads across them. But there's no reason to make Instagram part of Facebook. In fact, that would obviously hurt Instagram. Kids use Instagram because it's not Facebook. They don't need to know that Facebook owns it. Those kids today.
Well, you hit on something there, Leo. Kids use Instagram because it's not Facebook. They use Snapchat because it's not permanent. And that was one of the cool things about Google Plus when it first launched, was this whole being able to fine-tune who sees your posts through circles.
That's too much work, though, isn't it?
It is a lot of work.
It turns out to be a lot of work. And Facebook replicated it. I don't know that either of them are doing it perfectly, but I like the attempt.
Zuckerberg even said nobody wants to make lists. It's too much work. Actually, Facebook tried to buy Snapchat. I mean, I think that fits perfectly into their model. Facebook doesn't care if your post persists. They care about getting the data about you, because what persists is you and what they know about you, and that's what they're selling ads against.
Yeah. Ineffectively, I might add.
Well,
this whole model sucks. It's stupid.
Yeah, well, look at Facebook's quarterly results. You might disagree.
Well, considering the size of their audience, I think their quarterlies aren't that interesting. And this whole ad thing, I'll just bring it up again. I always bring it up, which is, if this whole model of targeted advertising works so well, why do, after I buy a product on Amazon, do I continually get ads to tell me to buy the product? I already bought the product.
I agree. They need to fix that.
And they know this.
Well, they need to fix that. Maybe they think you want to buy it again.
Oh, yeah. I always want to buy a camera over and over.
Facebook posted record quarterly results, profit for 2013 of $1.5 billion. But more importantly, the mobile has taken off. Their strategy has absolutely worked. You may say, well, there's nothing interesting going on at Facebook. I think they know exactly what they're doing, and I think Google. So back to the question in front of that is on the table: is Google going to kill Google Plus? What's going to happen to Google Plus?
If they kill Google Plus, they're never going to be able to roll out anything.
I agree. Nobody will want to join anything they ever do.
Yahoo has this problem. They've had so many social networks they've gone through, and then they pretty much gave up on it. I mean, even
but Yahoo buys social networks. They don't brand or make their own.
That's not true. They've branded and made a couple of them. I don't
Which
have.
ones?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm sure of that.
Actually, Yahoo might be the counter argument to this, which is they've been doing this all along, and
they've always been.
And they failed.
That's
Flickr.
because
They bought Flickr. They didn't integrate it.
They do this commonly.
They let it die. So maybe you do have to keep it vital somehow.
You know, and it's funny that Jeff Jarvis's book, What Would Google Do, is 5 years old now. It's an old book. And he said Google does a lot of things great, but what they don't do well is social. And they need to be able to do that. And no matter how many iterations they come across, they can't get sort of the masses. And like your point, you said the people on Google Plus now are still very vocal. There's a lot of activity there, but it's not the kind of people that Google Britney Spears. Or, it's just like a different level. And are those people not marketable?
Google Plus is the best place to communicate with people who work for Google.
Right. Well, there's that whole tech layer of users.
That's why
in Google
I like
Plus. Right. And that's why I like it too. It's fun. And you're right. There's a very high level of discourse. But then, close to 2 million people have me in circles on Google Plus. And that's not the tech layer. That's more the Orkut layer. There's a big international
we forget about
user
Orkut.
base. Yeah. There are a lot of people using this product internationally.
Yeah, you're right about that.
So Alexia
are the masses, I think. In
Alexia says that basically once you cut the head off, bye-bye Vic, and then take away all the resources, even if you're not killing a product, you're making it The Walking Dead.
Are they putting anybody else in charge after the guy left?
Yeah.
Well,
and his post was very cryptic about that. He's saying, like, I just want to move on to the next thing because everything we do in life will become something we look back upon. So does that mean that Google Plus is something that he'll look back upon?
It was kind of a very philosophical and beautiful post, as I would expect of Vic.
I'm surprised he didn't do it in haiku.
He did say, I'll see y'all at Coachella.
Did he?
Yeah.
Boy, I was hoping you weren't going to bring that up.
What do you mean?
I saw part of the last show. It's all about Coachella, the whole show.
Yeah, I love Coachella. I've never been.
When's the last time? Yeah, exactly.
Never been. That's why I love it. So I'm trying to get the name of the guy I was replacing. He's a longtime Google manager. Let me see if I can find the name. It was a little abrupt. And Vic is, by the way, pretty much beloved, not only by Google Plus users, but by developers. He was a developer relations guy. David Bespris, who is currently Google's vice president of engineering. If you put the VP of engineering in charge, it's kind of like a holding pattern.
Kind of weird.
It's like, yeah, I'm nominally in charge of the 0 employees who work on Google Plus. I don't think Alexia would say this. It's Alexia, by the way, Alexia who doesn't like Google Plus, Alexia Tsotsis and Matthew Panzarino, neither of whom are very active at Google Plus anyway. I think what's going to happen, and this is kind of what they say, it's not going to go away. It'd still be the connector, just as Facebook Connect is the connector. What
about Hangouts? Somebody in the chat room brought this up.
Hangouts got moved to Android.
Completely? So
Yep.
it's completely off?
The Google Hangouts team will be moving to the Android team. The Photos team, it's likely they will follow. Because this is the appification, right? Hangouts is an app. It's a separate product that shares data. Photos is in fact, they even did this. They made Photos an app. And it's a separate app that shares data. I think this makes sense from Google's point of view. It is a sad thing for those of us who use Google Plus, but I think you can continue to use it.
I think it's done. I think you're right. Thing is toast.
No, I like the idea of having them all
Everything
together.
you said is correct.
I like to have, the Picasso photos and then your chat in another place. To have them all together was a great idea. And now to break them back up apart is Picasso.
Don't listen. No, you said it right.
No, she said it right.
John misheard you and said fakatka.
No, I did not. She said fakakta.
John, you go to your room right now. No
I
dinner
did
for
not
you.
say that. This is a lie. Rewind the tape. She's just been in New York
Last
too
time
long.
that didn't work out so well for you, by the way.
Once.
Will you quit fooling around? We're trying to do real news here.
Give him more snacks. He was thinking of focaccia.
In 1997, John C. Dvorak said Google Plus is a scam. No,
1997?
No, I wouldn't have been in 1997.
That's straight out of the chat room.
It was a couple of years ago. I never said it was a scam. I just said it was born to fail. Mainly, let's get back to something you said. You said that they can't do social because the company itself is not a social company. Zuckerberg and these guys are a bunch of social maniacs, and this is where they can do that. They can't have a second sense of it. But if you're like the worst case scenario is Microsoft. They're not even close to being a social company, and everything that they try anything is a total failure.
It's possible that that's exactly what this is an acknowledgement. Because you remember last year, Larry Page said to the company, every one of you, every person in the company, your bonus is based on how well we do in social. It is based on social. They made a full, concerted, full court press on this, and it didn't work. It probably did not work. Despite the numbers, I don't think it's really a vital social network. But that doesn't matter. You know what Google's good at? Products. Google is brilliant at software, and that's all they're going to do. They say, look, we don't need Google+. That can be a connecting layer, but we've got photos, we've got Hangouts, we've got Gmail, we've got apps. We've got plenty of stuff for people to use. All we care is that they continue to use as much Google stuff as possible. Social, I think the whole thing on social was people thought for a while that was the future of search.
Well, Google was scared into that because it was Facebook that kept talking about this. Future of search is going to be social search. And so they freaked and did a kind of a defensive maneuver with
Mark
G+.
Zuckerberg is going.
Yeah, it's like the time Ford announced when they were building these bigger and bigger SUVs. They actually showed a 6-door, and I know it was just to screw with GM. But they had it. They had a prototype 6-door. Can you imagine driving one of those things around?
Natalie, do you use? I love the photos. I love Auto Awesome. Do you use it?
Yeah. I use all of those services. Maybe not as.
Who do you like?
I always. You know what? I even used recently Google Helpouts.
What?
Google Helpouts.
I know, but I mean,
it's like a Hangout. But it's a private hangout that you pay someone.
Wait a minute, Natalie.
It's $10 an hour.
Is this you? Oh, this is your old one, Natalie Delcante Morris, or is this your current Google Plus? Because it says you have 251 followers.
No. It's Natalie Morris, all one word.
Ah, this is an old one. Okay.
Why isn't it expunged?
You can't expunge.
Well, that's no good.
You can, but let's see. Am I Natalie Morris or Natalie?
Yeah, you're Natalie Morris. I found you. I found you.
Yeah,
oh, see how I know it's you? It's got a cute picture of your son and your husband and 148,000 followers, 1.3 million
the
views.
Justice family.
And I love the size of the images on here. I love the photos. I just think that that's the Auto Awesome stuff. I just really like what they do.
Auto Awesome.
It's awesome.
Auto Awesome for me is like my blog, Leo. It's something I have good intentions of using and putting to work in my life, but it's been a year and a half, and I don't think I've used it yet.
Well, it does it automatically. That's the beauty part of it.
Now it looks like they're at a brewery.
We were at the Coors plant in Golden, Colorado. Yeah, yesterday.
I thought you were looking at Natalie's thing. You go right back to your own?
Yeah, because that's the best.
Unbelievable.
Here's the brew kettle.
It's great for narcissism.
It is great for narcissism. There's the mash kettle.
Wow,
you know what it smells like in there?
It smells like beer.
No, it smells like malted milk.
Oh, that's probably the yeast, yeah.
It is malt. No, they're making malt. That's what they do with the barley. They make malt. So, in fact, that's what happened during Prohibition. He stopped making beer. Adolf Coors started making malted milk.
Huh.
I learned that on the tour.
I bet you did. Probably a few other things you picked up.
Like look at my cute kids on Google Plus and much more thought pieces type stuff. But the Helpouts are really fun too. I took a sewing class.
Oh, the Helpouts. That's what you were. That's right. So is that still alive?
A sewing class.
Yeah, it's pretty new though. Like they haven't completely finished even letting people in who want to be. I guess they call them educators or helpers or whatever.
I love this.
I had a code even to become an educator, but I was like, I don't really have anything to teach other people.
So wait a minute, let's see if John could do vinegar. Is there anybody?
I'm sure we'll get some people who are going to get busted for unlicensed practice of law in the Google.
Your search for vinegar did not match any.
Yeah,
nobody's helping with vinegar. How about wine? I bet there's wine helpouts.
Oh, there's gotta be.
So here you go.
15. You pay $149.99 for a Q&A.
It depends. That's because Top Master Chef Doug Keane is expensive.
What does he know?
But if you want to go to Eating Well magazine, that's $1 a minute.
I didn't even know about this.
Here's calligraphy, $25 an hour. Julie will teach you the art of calligraphy. Now, so you've done this. How does it work, Natalie? Is it a hangout?
It's a hangout, but it's timed. So I can't take advantage of this woman. It gives you a countdown, and so
3, 2, 1, stop sewing.
Right. Well, because I'm pretty lame about the whole thing. You can see my sewing machine actually sitting down there behind me. So it gives you a countdown of how long you have, and you can set it, and then it goes in your Google Calendar, and you get a reminder when it's time to start. And since I had a specific thing that I wanted to learn, I'd sent her the patterns and all that stuff. So she was like, okay, be ready with this. And yeah, it was pretty helpful.
Do yourself a favor and get a slant needle.
What's a slant needle?
John knows a little bit about everything.
I know.
So he knows
There's
2 words.
You can do all the research you're on.
Slant needle. Yeah, because he knows nothing more.
No, I know a lot about it.
That's the depth. How would you know a lot about the slant needle?
I got a lecture about it. The slant needle, the Singer slant needle, is the greatest sewing machine ever made, and people collect them. They're actually, you can actually buy and sell them and make money on the things if you find somebody who's selling them cheap enough.
I was learning this in the dogfight book. The Singer sewing machine patent battles were the original patent wars, and he points out in Dogfight that what we think of now as a broken patent system because of software patents has always been. You agree, Denise? Has always been this broken, and the most famous one is the Singer sewing machine lawsuits because a lot of different people complained to have patented sewing machines, and so in the 1850s this was a massive battle between Elias Howe. Remember him from the Cotton Gym?
I don't remember.
Sure you do.
I met him once.
Yeah. Who claimed he had invented the sewing machine. And Singer, who said he invented the sewing machine. And it's just a fascinating. But the problem is Howe's sewing machine was vertical. The fabric started at the top and went to the bottom.
Huh.
And
seems like a different operation to me.
Well, that's what Singer said. The first American patent for the sewing machine was Elias Howe. It had a needle with an eye at the point. The needle was pushed through the cloth, created a loop on the other side. Sounds like a sewing machine. A shuttle on a track, then slipped the second thread through the loop, creating a lock stitch.
There you go.
Yep. But Isaac Singer comes along, and he built the first commercially successful sewing machine.
All right.
Well, maybe my help out wasn't that great because I didn't understand that.
It wasn't a patent help out.
It won't be too long until somebody patent trolls Google for some sort of patent on technological delivery of tutoring services. Yeah. Let's just hope
we
they don't
invented
settle.
that.
Yeah.
There's apparently a book about the famous sewing machine wars, which I will try to find for you because obviously you're all so fascinated.
So you're going to go into a commercial, I think.
Yes. How did you know?
Because you keep that same piece of paper going back and forth.
You can feel it trembling in my hand.
Because I have got something to talk about. I know it's not on your list.
Please bring it up right after this word.
From?
Gazelle.com. Do you have any old gadgets lying about?
Me?
I always use you as an example. You rented a room above a garage. Do you still have that?
No.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah.
I needed a modem. This is how long ago this was. And John says,
I have a few 100,000 ET games.
Yeah, there you go. ET cartridges, no, they won't buy them. But I needed a modem, and John says, come over to the house. I got some modems. And he takes me over to this room above a Chevron station.
Yeah, it's an independent. It's not a Chevron.
Okay, fine. And you open the door, and it's like Fibber McGee's closet. You can't open the door because stuff's going to...
exaggeration.
It was just like that. And we go in, and this rack after rack of this is all crap people send you to review.
In the olden days.
They don't do this anymore.
Oh, of course not. They send stuff to bloggers now.
Fools.
No, the whole thing is upside down.
There was actually, now that I think of it, a slant needle sewing machine in there.
No, there wasn't. You don't even know what they look like.
I'm pretty sure. It was either that or a 56K modem. So don't be a Johnny D. Go to Gazelle and get cash for your...
JCD's House of Modems.
House of Modems. They don't buy modems. There's not much of a market, but they will buy broken iPhones and iPads, by the way. They will buy cell phones from a variety of manufacturers. Do you still have a BlackBerry? They'll buy BlackBerries. The Q10 and the Z10. Okay. They will buy Nokia phones. I wonder can I sell my old Nokia? You choose your carrier, choose your phone. Sure you can. Hey, I wonder what my 1520 is worth. I just bought it. It's flawless. I just took it out of the box. $182. Hey, that's money. You got an old iPhone? How about that? Maybe you want to upgrade to the new iPhone. Take your iPhone 5, AT&T, get an offer. Unlocked in good condition, $230. Now, here's the beauty part. Go through all that stuff. I know you got a drawer, a cabinet somewhere with all your old phones and tablets. They'll buy Surface tablets, Samsung, Google tablets, Asus tablets, Amazon's Kindle Fire. Get it all. Put it together. Get quotes. Now, these quotes are good for 30 days. You do not have to do anything for 30 days. The reason you want to get a quote as soon as possible is because every single one of these things is dropping in value like a rock. You know, I can guarantee you. So get the best price you can get. Guaranteed for 30. Yeah, see, the Kindle Fire worth $51. Just not a good seller. And I can guarantee you in a week it'll be worth less. So get those quotes now. When you're ready to sell, maybe you got your new phone or the new tablet, you got a new computer, you're ready to get rid of the old one. Just check out. They'll send you a box big enough for all the stuff, prepaid postage. Their experts will turn it around very quickly. One of the things they'll do if you forget to wipe your data or you can't because it's broken or whatever, they will wipe the data for you. And then they'll send you a check. You can, if you want it faster, you can get a PayPal credit. You can also get, if you buy a lot of stuff on Amazon, an Amazon gift card, and they will bump the value of the Amazon gift card by 5%. That is pretty sweet. A little pro tip for you. GAZELLE.com. If you think, well, I don't know, I don't want to be the first on my block, you won't be. 700,000 people have sold their stuff at Gazelle, paying more than $100 million. This is a really great thing to know about. How much is your Apple or Android device worth? Visit Gazelle.com. It'll just take you a minute. You lock in that price for 30 days, and who knows? You know, you say, I think I'm going to pull the trigger on that. Gazelle.com. Oh, John just left. He said he had to see a man about a dog, so he'll come back and do his story in a second.
Well,
hey,
we got earnings.
Somebody
got
just
Netflix as a cable
there's
channel.
There's a ton of stuff to talk about, but let's first, before we do that, let's see what happened this week, because this was a great week. All the shows in one 60-second package this week on Twit.
Previously on Twit. Tech News Today.
Google's vice president for social, Vic Gundotra, is leaving the company. The departure of Gundotra raises serious questions about the future of Google+.
This week in Enterprise Tech.
I'm going to demonstrate the Heartbleed attack against a server I set up. So I'm going to go ahead and just run this, but there we go.
No, we see it.
Pod, right?
It's right there.
And the password
Wow.
Hippo.
It's clear text because it's pulling it straight out of memory.
Wow.
This is the Heartbeat bug in action.
That's cool.
The Social Hour.
Turns out they're giving Ronald McDonald a makeover, and now you'll be seeing the clown more often through different social media channels for McDonald's, and there'll be more happening with Ronald McDonald, maybe taking some selfies, doing some fun stuff.
Jesus.
This was a very frightening mascot. I mean,
Just
look
hope
at
they don't
that
call
guy.
him
I mean, that's
OMG
like
McDonald.
I hope they don't do
The
belfies.
happiest place on earth.
Now, we're going to go into our next segment.
Sorry, Padre. Wait, no, we can't do it. There's no time.
Wait,
we ran out of time. We can't do it.
Was that know-how? That was this week on This Week in Tech. What's coming up next week, Mike Helgen?
Coming up this week, eBay and Twitter report earnings on Tuesday, the 29th. Facebook's F8 conference happens on Wednesday, the 30th. We're expecting them to launch a new mobile ad network, and we'll cover it live here on Twit. And LinkedIn reports earnings on Thursday, May 1st. Back to you, Leo.
At 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 1700 UTC on Wednesday. We'll cover F8. That's Facebook's developer conference, and I think this is going to be a big one. I think there's going to be some big announcements. How's the yogurt?
Not bad.
That's that Greek style yogurt.
Yeah, the Greek's the best.
You like the heavier Greek style?
Actually, I do, and I think also people should check out the Icelandic stuff.
Smari, he's local.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I just saw him the other day. He's got a big beard. He does. He's an Icelandic fella. It's the best, isn't it?
Yeah, it's drained, so it's just like 3 times as much yogurt.
I asked him, what do you do with your acidic whey? Because that's a big problem.
What does he do?
Don't know.
A lot of people drink it. A lot of bodybuilders. And
yes,
it's actually tasty.
That's what they sell it to. They take the protein out and they make...
if you've ever drunk it, it's delicious.
It's not acidic?
Yeah, it's very acidic. It's delicious acidic. Okay. So I guess I missed the last 2 or 3 shows, so you probably already talked about this.
No, bring it up again. That's fine.
Code Babes.
Code Babes?
You don't know? You didn't talk about this?
No, what is Code Babes?
You're kidding me. It's just the hot coding thing that's going on. It's like a boot camp. Only the Code Babes are they essentially, as you learn how to code, they take off more and more of their clothes.
Oh, please.
No, and this is the hottest thing in the world of coding.
Oh, that's so
like strip poker.
It's so depressing.
This is the way it works.
Did you know about this, Natalie?
No.
Denise?
Not a bit.
Horrible.
Unbelievable. Nobody knows these things. That was a hot ticket.
You remember Naked News?
It's still around.
Is it still around?
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was
like
long
I watch
gone.
it all the time.
Yeah, it's still around, yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's
around.
where I get my news.
It was the same idea. You would watch, and it would be a normal newscast, just like a local
This
newscast.
is incentivizing
but they would
coding.
slowly take off their clothes during the newscast.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
It
Come
wasn't
on.
sexist because they had guys and gals, although I doubt very much the guys made any money.
So here's the this is the hot thing. It's an
I doubt very much
incentivized
the girls
coding
made
thing.
any money.
I think the whole thing, it was in Canada. It was in Toronto, the Naked News headquarters, and they invited me to go visit. I said, no, I think not.
What? They said no?
I said no.
Wow.
I didn't want to touch that. Well, I learned my lesson because remember when the adult Dex was next to CES for a while?
Yeah, that was a kick.
Or was it next to Comdex? It was Comdex.
No, it was CES.
It was CES. And
I don't
we
know.
went with a camera crew. We went over. This is when I was working at Tech TV. So it was like 2002 or something.
Yeah, we went over too.
And we went over with the camera crew because, you're in TV. You got to do that.
You don't have to.
I wish we hadn't. Because I walk in the door and this woman says, Leo! And she's... and then
great.
they gave me free lap dances. And the whole time the cameras are going. And I'm going, you can't use any... I'm pushing don't go away. Don't touch me.
This I'd like to see. Go
Wait, you
away,
knew them,
don't touch
or
me.
they knew you?
They knew me.
But you didn't know
He
them.
was very
Of course
famous.
I didn't know them.
He's very famous.
See, this was the presumption that I knew. No, it wasn't that. Is that some of these women who did webcamming, and this was in the early days, were big Tech TV fans because that's how they learned
How to do
about
it.
technology.
Yeah.
Ah.
And you also have to remember in Las Vegas, where a lot of these girls live, that it was one of the few outlets where Tech TV actually showed up.
That's right. So this looks surprisingly like Sandra Bullock. I doubt she's on Code Babes, but it does
This looks surprisingly like French Made TV.
another
Tim
internet
Street's
winner.
videos.
But this
Yeah,
this
Tim.
is the
I liked him, and I never really understood why he did that. But I guess it.
Yeah.
You know, Tim,
I think because it's sold.
because it made a lot of money, probably.
What was this?
Exactly.
French Maids TV.
I don't know anything about it.
So they were young women dressed as French maids, but kind of sexy French maids teaching you stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Same idea exactly as Code Babes.
Yes.
In fact, I wonder
Yeah,
if
but
Tim
this is-
Street is behind this.
I doubt it.
I don't know.
Well, anyway, Code
You know,
Babes is hot.
most of the women who go into coding are trying to level the
Exactly.
playing field.
That's what these girls are doing.
Instead of pointing out that they are women in order to get ahead, they're trying to bridge the gender gap.
That's exactly
and
what these
also the
women are
pay
doing.
Gap. This is, yes, it's funny, but it's also kind of damaging.
Oh,
I completely agree now.
huh. Well, I didn't know. All I know, this is the hot ticket.
So you can
no,
learn.
John, because you've never been a victim of the gender
Thank
or the pay
you.
gap.
He's a white
I'm
man.
a victim of ageism. Don't kid yourself.
That's true. Welcome.
Now you are, but you
Yeah,
haven't
well.
always been. And we all will be a victim of ageism at some point. We
That's
all
true.
won't be a victim of
If we're
sexism.
lucky. If we're lucky.
And so please do not ask for your sympathy, my sympathy over ageism.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, but
Why did you bring this up, John? You knew you would become.
I just
flame
thought
bait.
it just seemed to me that this is something that you would have discussed in my absence. And now I'm stunned, literally stunned, that you've never heard
Well,
of
not
this.
only that, it's really expensive, as I remember. No, I've never tried this.
remember.
I've not tried this.
It looks
I
eminently
just really
ignorable.
wanted to code and also keep my clothes on.
Okay, anyway.
I don't
that's
think,
my
frankly, I'll be
contribution.
honest, I don't think, frankly, nudity and coding go together.
Do you ever see some of these guys?
Have you ever seen those keyboard pants? See, that could be pants
This is
that
another
are
good
keyboard-
topic. Let's go to keyboard pants.
They can only
Under
be
door
sewn
number 2.
on a slant needle sewing machine.
What the hell are keyboard pants?
Here, okay, I'm putting it in the chat room.
These pants have a built-in keyboard.
Oh, that's very, very unique.
That will help you code and keep your clothes on.
They don't look comfortable.
No, it's got a keyboard built into the crotch.
This is a joke, right?
Yeah, and aren't you, in order to keep your sperm count up, supposed to keep your keyboard off your junk?
I think that has to do with, I think the space key is the problem with that operation.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Guy hits a space key a lot.
That's got to be the onion, right?
You'd think. I think this. No, this guy is kind of a joker.
Yeah.
This guy who made these, he's kind of a joker. He does all sorts. Here's an urban security suit.
There you go.
That has a built-in gas mask, probably a bulletproof vest. He's a joker.
Well, you know.
He's a little bit of a...
It could catch on.
It could, I guess. Urban security seems a little... Let's see what else he has here.
Let me show you my tab key, honey.
Yeah, it's like a designer. Here's a meeting chair.
This is chair.
A chair designed for meetings and lectures. It's got a little... Oh, this is good. I'm going to get this
where you can
for
fall
our conference
asleep?
room. No, it's... look, it's got a little curved thing around your head that helps the acoustics. I don't know if this is real, if you can actually buy this stuff. I could top it. There's better stories. Nest, which Google acquired some not so long ago,
Nest
is now available in the Play Store. Do you want to buy the Nest?
My wife bought a bunch of the Nest fire alarms, and the thing, you couldn't turn them off.
Yeah, in fact, they've taken them off the market.
And for good reason. They're horrible garbage.
Actually, the reason they took them off the market was too easy to turn them off. Because if you wave your... So the idea is you have...
Not when they all set off. I'm telling you, she couldn't get them off.
See, I wish she should call them and say, no, put them back on the market. Because that was the whole problem, is inadvertent...
There was no fire.
Disabling of the smoke alarms. Because it turns out when there's a fire, you might jump up and wave your arms, and then the smoke alarms all go... Stop.
Panicking. You'd be panicking.
You'd be panicking, and the smoke alarms go, oh, never mind.
But you already know there's a fire. I don't see that being a
choreograph
problem.
a dance. If there is no fire, you do the dance. If there is, feel free to wave about.
Okay,
Will
next
you tell,
story.
or maybe we can tell Padre SJ right now to do a know-how on Nest.
I have Nests, the thermostats. I bought them for my old place, and I didn't put them in the new place. It's like, do you really want the heat to come on at random intervals? Like, without your say-so? The whole idea is it learns whether you're home, and it knows what the temperature is outside, and it decides on its own. This little thing on the wall decides on its own when you need heat or cool. And it never was right. It's like it's turning on the heat at 3 in the morning. I don't want it.
Well, there
Ours
you
is
have it.
By and large, right? But sometimes I get falsely accused of turning the heat up to 69 or 70, and I did not touch it.
Up to?
It's
Up
like
to 69?
Well, what do you keep the temperature at?
69 is hot in here in this house because the heat blows straight on us. Why do you think that's not good?
Low.
What do you
That's
keep it at?
chilly.
No.
What do you keep it at? 40?
No, well, it has been lately, but 60,
It has
what
been.
are you guys?
So Robert's
your
actually
heat
here.
above 70 degrees?
Weren't you supposed to be in the Vatican today? Don't you have things to do in the... Didn't they bring in like 600 priests to do mass? You called in sick. Okay, that's all right. Padre SJ, who does the Fabulous Know-How show, we would like you to do a learning thermostat how-to.
Please.
He's going to do Naked Know-How. It's our new show. So now,
Jokes
you know
all
how.
over the place. I'm not touching any of it.
Please don't touch it.
Say the least.
All right, quarterly reports. Apple. Okay, now this is interesting. God, I hope it is. Apple, $45.6 billion in the last quarter. This is their bad quarter. It's their fiscal year is not the same as the calendar year.
They're rolling in dough.
Q1 for them is the holiday buying season. So this is January, February, and March.
They're still selling iPods.
Only 2.7 million.
Yeah.
Well, that's like a rounding error compared to what they used to.
So this really a two-product company. How long does this
barely
last?
Two products. So they sold year to year, quarter to quarter, year to year, right? Is that what you call it in the stock market?
Y to Y.
Y to Y. 37.4 million iPhones this time last year, 43.7 million iPhones, and it wasn't even a new iPhone. So a big growth in the iPhone. Big growth in the iPhone. On the other hand, Macs were up a little bit, 4 million to 4.1 million. It's the iPads that took a big drop. 19.5 million last year, 16.3 million.
How's that new Mac doing? The one that's the bunch of
the Mac Pro.
That thing.
They don't break it down by model.
Well, that's a shame.
I don't think they can make very many of them. I think is the problem.
You didn't like it.
I have one.
Yes.
The first one I had was a lemon.
Okay. Happens.
I was using it to store my acidic whey. That might have been part of the problem.
So you ditched it for a new one?
I called Apple and they said, yes, it is a lemon.
Okay.
We know about it. In fact, they were capturing Mac Pros, not in my serial number range, but close to it.
Okay.
So, because it just would reboot spontaneously. And apparently
That's
this was
not good.
a no
You don't
problem.
want that.
Well, it's funny. It didn't do it enough so that it was like you could work with it, but every day it would reboot once. It would just go black and then go bong and start up again. Once a day. And I didn't realize how bad it was until I got the new one, and it didn't. And it was like I had PTSD. It was like I finally could trust my computer again.
Okay.
So I do like the Mac Pro a lot. Once I got a new one, I just love it. It hasn't rebooted in days.
Do you use it?
Yeah.
Where is it?
I just surf the web, a little bit of email, you know, that kind of thing.
Huh. Seems like overkill.
It's way overkill. But I have not one, but two GPUs working all the time. They didn't break it down. They did sell more iPhones and less iPads.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
the iPads
maybe
dropped.
it's peaked. Maybe it's over.
Okay, that is our question of the day. Has the iPad peaked? Natalie Morris.
Has the iPad peaked? I mean, we're expecting a new round. It's still selling like hotcakes.
No, it's
still
not.
kind of
It's not selling like hotcakes
It's dropping.
anymore. It's dropping like a rock.
We're expecting a new round out. I don't know that the iPad has peaked. And don't you think it's still a proper noun?
Let me
compare it.
Let me compare it to the iPhone.
Okay.
The iPhone came out before the new iPhone 5S came out before the iPad.
Right.
And it's selling, it's still up. The new iPad came out in October. It's down. So yes, it had a good first quarter, but the second quarter not so good.
Yeah.
I think it's over.
It's a little cheesy to report this because Apple had record
No, they're
quarterly
making
profits,
money hand over fist.
$10.2 billion. They beat Wall Street's estimates. Blah, blah, blah. But
I think they need to have a strong showing of products over the course of the summer. I think that's
what
clear.
are we looking at?
So this is sort of related. This is a how much wealth does a company make in a second? It's at the bottom of the miscellaneous.
Samsung is actually beating Apple on this.
Yeah. Well, in terms of revenue, but not per profit.
The middle thing is the profit.
Right. So here, let's zoom into it.
HP seems to be doing quite well.
HP's doing pretty good down there.
Yeah, good revenue. That's
Twitter
because they sell crap for a lot of money.
Is just about losing as much money as its revenue.
Look at that little dot, the Twitter dot.
But that's the revenue. The outline is revenue.
Yeah, because
there is no
is
profit
negative.
dot.
It's negative.
Dot.
So their revenue equals the losses, literally.
Right.
So every buck they bring in, they lose.
Right.
Wow.
What they should.
That's
put,
a good business, huh? That's a good. At least they're not losing more than they make.
Well, look at it. It's pretty close.
Apple, meanwhile, where is that? That is a good.
It's at the bottom of the doc. There's two links right next to each other because the second link is to
Another
it.
thing
The
you can
first
look
one
at
is
and
article
waste your time.
Anthony, or who's it? Jeff,
waster.
who talked about it. He said that he had it up for about 20 hours, and Twitter had lost $100,000 in that 20 hours. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Apple stock just going through the roof, and I was the one. And I'll admit it. Last week said that I would short Apple stock.
I think you could short it if a war breaks out in Europe. I would short Apple stock, but short of that. I think it's
not with the split coming.
It's too
7-to-1 split. They announced big buyback as well.
It's not a good idea. They should have done a 2-for-1.
Why? Have you ever heard of a 7-for-1?
I've seen 10 and 20-to-1. Wow. But
weird number.
But according to Horowitz, I do the show DH Unplugged. You should check it out.
He's
there's a lot
finance guy.
There's a lot of evidence to show when you do the splits beyond 2 or 3-to-1, it actually hurts the stock after the split.
Google did quite well, didn't it, with its stock split? Or did it?
I don't know.
But that was a 3-to-1, wasn't it?
2-to-1.
When was this?
Google did 2-to-1.
When was this? When did they do the split?
I don't know. Either that or their stock dropped $500.
What's the price now?
Overnight. You want me to look up Google for you?
Yeah, when they do their
It's
split.
still around.
I stopped following Google.
It's 516 now, but that is split. That's split. So equivalent of whatever, 1,000.
Yeah, it was at about 1,000. So it's 2-1.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Apple's stock doing quite well. So if you did listen to me and shorted it, I hope you don't have.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know nothing. I'm an idiot. But I'm in it for the long haul. I think it's going to drop
eventually.
Eventually. And this is why I can't buy stock. I've been actually...
And don't buy stock. Buy real estate. That's your best bet.
Invest. Don't trade. It's not time in the market. Or it's time in the market, not timing.
I am using Warren Buffett's wife's investment strategy. Not Warren Buffett's. I can't afford it.
Just buy real estate. You can't go wrong.
Mrs. Buffett, Warren said, don't do what I do. Do what I say. Because Warren, by the way, over the last 5 years has not got a very good track record. Well, the Wizard of Omaha is not doing all that well.
Well, he's not starving to death.
He ain't starving. He still lives in the same...
What does his wife do, Leah?
He told his wife, buy no-load index funds. Big market baskets. This S&P 500 or the whole stock market.
Yeah, a lot of people do
Low
that.
cost. You beat almost everybody else. All these people trying to beat the market. You can't beat the market, especially thanks to high-frequency traders.
It's rigged.
It's rigged with front-running.
It's rigged anyway.
Have you finished that book yet, Natalie?
Front-running is not legal, and they're not doing it.
Weeks ago.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's good. But what's the difference between that and an ETF? It's just a smaller fund because ETFs have small.
ETFs are usually targeting segments,
smaller baskets.
like they're targeting metal or they're targeting
So I buy the market
computer
as a whole.
companies
I
or
buy, like the what is it, the 5,000, the Russell 5,000.
The Russell 5,000
Yeah.
or the Russell 2,000.
I buy the 5,000. I figure 5 is better than 2. But again, I was the guy who said short.
Well, if that's the case, then just short the Dow.
I would just get that's
You're
not
really
a good
going to get
investment.
crazy.
I'm not going to
I
short
would just
the
get
Dow.
S&P if you're going to just do that. The S&P is probably your best bet.
Here is Apple's stock price over the last 5 days.
Wow.
This is where I said short them right here.
Yeah, and that's where they say we're going to do a split. Yeah, that's a pretty funny chart.
Hey, at least I admit my mistakes.
I think shorting Apple's not a bad idea eventually.
How long can you run a short? Is it you get a margin call at some point, or can you do it indefinitely?
Well, it depends on if it keeps going up, then you get a call for sure.
Yeah.
But if it starts plummeting, you can hang on to it until it hits rock bottom.
Well, the problem is it's going up right now.
Well, you didn't go out and short it, though.
I
did
didn't
you?
know. I don't buy tech stock. I don't know anything about it. I buy the Russell 5,000.
That, by the way, shorting is not buying tech stocks.
No, but I don't. But Apple is a tech stock.
Yeah, but you're not buying it.
But
you're selling it.
I don't have a. But it would just as bad if I were shorting. In fact, it'd be worse. Because I'd come on the show and say, Apple sucks.
You do this anyway because Apple has, if you don't remember this, I do. Apple has blackballed you.
Why do you bring this up every single time? He takes great pleasure in this. And I'm not even going to call it a fact because I don't think it is. I think you're making that up.
No. What? So what changed?
They don't invite me to their events. But Natalie, do you get invited to Apple keynotes?
Ouch. That hurts a little bit. When I was working more regularly, yes, I did.
Well, but not anymore. John, do you get invited to Apple keynotes?
I haven't been invited to anything from Apple since 1990.
Denise Howell, do you get invited to Apple keynotes? In fact, is anybody in this room?
I was blackballed. No. They're not journalists that should be going to these things.
Blackballed?
No,
they're
I
not
can
writers.
Get in if I want to. I don't get my own
get in if she
invitations
wants
anymore.
to.
Well, she's pretty.
She says, I know Clayton Morris.
No, okay.
We got Fox News behind
me. I have my own identity. Let me assert that once again.
Clayton, by the way, is not blackballed. He can go to anything he wants. Right?
Anything he wants. It's true.
Yep. He just calls up, says, I'm Clayton Morris.
It's true.
They go, roll out the red carpet for him.
Is that right?
Thanks for putting some lemon in my cut.
I'm just teasing you. You know what? I'm paying it forward. John screwed me.
I don't
now
have
I'm going to
career
screw
envy
you.
in my house. I'm happy that my husband's career is still doing well, and
your career is
I
great.
Work for my kids.
You're doing great.
What is this off topic?
Natalie,
we're talking about
doing
Apple.
Great. No, we're going to cheer up Natalie.
I'm kidding.
Oh, she doesn't need cheering up. Look at her.
NBC contributor.
CNBC, I believe.
No, it says NBC.
All NBC?
All of NBC.
Well, I do the Today Show and CNBC.
Oh, okay. Well,
Today Show. You ever hear of it?
No. Is it on today?
Every day.
No, not on Sundays.
Huh. Well,
Never on a
why
Sunday.
is it called the Today Show if it's not on every day?
No, they have a weekend Today Show.
Yeah. Oh, they do. There we go.
Yeah. See?
Yeah.
Are you on the one with Kathy Lee Gifford?
No.
Actually, I've never done the 10 o'clock hour. I usually do the 9 o'clock hour.
I watch
That's
that
pretty snarky, that show.
Yeah, that's why I watch it. I like it.
Yeah.
Apple reports 45. Oh, I already did that story. So anybody else have a thought about the iPad? What is going on? Are we just waiting for the next one? That's what you think, Natalie. I think it's saturated, and Android is starting to come on strong.
There's that element. I also think that the whole market may be smaller than they imagined.
They did it. It's done. Everybody who wants one got one. Denise, you love the iPad, right?
I love the iPad. I think I love tablets. You know, I think that Android tablets are coming on strong. Even Amazon's Kindle Fire is a competitor.
I think Leo's got the right idea.
This is what's killing iPads.
It's the
phablet,
giant phone.
Even the small phone is killing. Because what I think people realized is, I mean, aren't you using your phone for everything now? You don't need a tablet.
Look at the size of this thing.
I use my tablet.
You use your tablet.
I do too. Yep.
So you get home, you put the phone on the dresser, you let it charge, and you pull out the iPad.
See,
that's your home computer.
Look at the size of this.
It's my layback device. When I'm working on a keyboard, you know, an external keyboard. When I'm reading, hanging out, consuming entertainment, it's the tablet.
I think maybe it's because I'm badly nearsighted. Because when I take off my glasses and I hold the phone like right here, right up to my face, it's like a giant screen TV.
I can't. This thing does nothing.
You don't know how to use Windows Phone.
This is a Windows Phone.
This is the Nokia 1520. It's a 6-inch.
How did you get the thing to come up like that?
You press. There's a button on the side. You press
I've
it.
been pushing buttons.
Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I think that's gorgeous. And that's not even customized. I put Windows Phone 8.1. I do think Windows Phone.
So why does it say me and there's a little picture of you on here and it's flat?
In case I forget. It's a phone for people your age.
Look at this.
Who am I? Oh, I know I am.
I don't think so.
I'm me.
I don't have one of these phones. You do. So let's get that straight. And what's this photos? What is this? It's showing different photos constantly. Why do I want that?
Ask permission before you do that. Don't do that.
Natalie, you have a problem with selfies and belfies?
What's a belfie?
I do not like it when people open. My sister does this to me and just like flips
starts scrolling through it.
My photos. It's just
she's only got 2 photos
etiquette.
in here. I already
It's
checked.
bad gadget etiquette. My son did that to me. I was visiting my son at school in Colorado, and he started flipping through my pictures. He said, "Stop."
Well, then don't carry him on a phone. It's kind of nutty.
Well, you can't help it if you take the
phone is
pictures.
a personal device.
Thank
you
you.
don't get to just go through my wallet.
So belfies are butt selfies.
Who takes such a thing?
It's the evolution of when we used to do that on a copy machine.
It's disgusting.
And it's huge. I saw
especially if you got a big butt.
I saw Kelly do it on Live with Regis and Live with Kelly and Michael. She did a belfie.
Did you ever do that on a copy machine? I mean, I didn't.
Did you, Natalie?
Yeah, I've done that before.
You have?
Yes, on a copy machine with my sister. Yeah.
Unfortunately, unlike belfies, there was no Instagram for Xerox copies. What are you doing? You're making noise.
Yeah.
You're hearing
Keep talking. I'll just do the background.
Tim Cook explains, by the way, what.
Go on.
So when I started out doing this in 1991, I did a radio show with John C. Dvorak. And it's a 3-hour radio show. Remember that, Dvorak on computers?
Yeah.
And he'd get bored.
I'm easily bored.
So I gave him a bunch of sound effects.
It was my idea.
You demanded
But
them.
you did dig up all the classics.
Thousands of sound effects. And he would interrupt the show constantly, just like this. So, what does Tim Cook say about iPad sales? He says there are 2 factors behind this. In the same quarter a year prior, Apple had increased. This is, by the way, a bogus explanation. Can you stop?
Don't you think this makes the show better?
This is cheesy music. In the same quarter a year prior, Apple increased iPad channel inventory, whereas in this quarter it was reduced.
Huh.
So this sounds a little bit ex post facto. He's saying, oh, yeah, well, we didn't sell as many because we didn't make as many.
Yeah.
I think it might be the other way around. We didn't make as many because we weren't selling as many, but okay. Secondly, Apple ended the first quarter, the holiday season, with a backlog of iPad minis which was subsequently shipped during the second quarter. They couldn't make those fast enough.
Which is about the size of this thing.
Yeah. Neither of these are very compelling arguments. This is the quote.
No, this sounds like bull crap.
It sounds like he's like
bull crap.
It's been the fastest growing product in Apple's history. It was an instant hit in business, education, and consumer. In just 4 years after we launched the first iPad, we've sold over 210 million, more than anyone thought possible. That's twice as much as during a comparable time frame. In other words, he has no reason at all why Apple didn't sell as many last quarter.
Apparently not.
Let me ask you guys this. What is the single most common thing for you to use an iPad or a tablet for?
Simpsons Tapped Out.
I use Angry Birds. You got a lot more control, fine control on Angry Birds.
Gaming.
This would be a good Angry Birds phone.
Do you use it to read stuff or what? What do you use?
I use it for email, but
email.
I use it for email.
Do you use the keyboard?
That horrible keyboard?
That horrible keyboard. Yeah, because I use it, and I don't use it throughout the day for email. I use it in the evening before I go to bed. I use it in the morning when I get up. It's sort of like that email filler before. But I use it for entertainment, and far and away the most common thing that we as a family use the iPad for is when we're on the road, not at home, we use Amazon Instant Video on the iPad.
It's babysitting.
It's you're not home, you don't have access to.
But so you're watching as well as your son?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
We'll put on a good movie for us all.
I just got.
Wait, hold on a second. You're telling me you're watching movies on this thing?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah.
I watch movies on 60 and 100-inch screens.
It's better that way with surround sound.
Yeah, and lots of volume and boom, boom, boom.
Natalie, are the iPads hot in your family?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, not only for the baby apps and things like that, but also, you have
little ones.
Yeah, I have small kids.
How old is Miles?
1 and 3.
3. So is Miles able to use an iPad? I think 3 is actually the cutoff.
Isn't it? He's pretty good. Aren't there studies starting to show that kids and these things is ruining them, is making them idiots?
Oh yeah. I mean, I have I have rules, a lot of rules. Like if they wake up in the morning and they say, "Can I use the pad?" is what they call it, and I say, "Okay, but no movies, only games." So
good for you.
Studies show the iPad is making kids idiots.
That's what I heard.
That is so.
Yeah, no, you read an article by a woman who wasn't a doctor. She's an occupational therapist, and
she's got more knowledge than Leo does on the topic.
I have a study that shows that children are idiots today, thanks to the iPad.
That there's a lot that
I'm sticking with that. That's a good thesis.
I think, screen time does have an effect on your brain, so I'm careful about that, but I think that, that's up to me to decide when that can and can't happen. My husband was in a bagel shop, and this guy, he set the kids up with some breakfast and an episode of Curious George, and this guy was like, "This is why kids today are going to be idiots, because of lazy parents like this." And my husband was so furious that he went over and he said, "Excuse me, are you judging me for keeping my kids, letting them watch some Curious George with their iPad?" So I know there's a lot of high emotion judgment that goes along with that. But
did a fight break out?
Something like that can take it up with me. He actually was very diplomatic about it. I would have strangled him, but he
just tell Clayton
the guy. Mind your own business.
The guy had a high gluten diet. It's not his fault. It was it was the gluten talking.
He called him one of those bagel shop loafers, the guy who brings a physical paper and sits there for a long time. And drinks So, I mean, it's not like we had anything to prove or answer to this guy, but I was really pissed that he would dare to judge my husband, who is an amazing father. But beyond that, just using the iPad, we don't use it as a babysitter, but we both do a lot of consumption of media on it. I mean, we have an app for that.
Let us not forget.
That's a phrase we could probably use.
Read quick, baby. Is that doing well?
Yes, actually, it has been doing really well, and we just launched a brand new version of it. It was redesigned for the new iOS and launched over the weekend.
So you are iOS only. You do not have an Android version.
Not yet. It's just been kind of arduous to hire a developer, but we're still working on that.
But you feel that you don't see a drop in people buying Read Quick because the iPad's dropping, do you?
No, not at all. And I think as people use the iPad more, they go deeper and deeper into the ecosystem of apps.
I think you're right.
But I do think that the Android marketplace is a completely different economy, which we're really excited to explore. But this was all funded in our house, so it's slow going, and But
I think Read Quick is making children idiots.
Actually, someone in the chat room just linked me to something that said that speed reading was bad for reading comprehension, and we haven't seen that at all. In fact, we've had people with dyslexia write us and say that they have found this app to be so useful because dyslexics normally mix up the order of the words or the direction of the words.
Chad, show this.
And this forces you to read one word at a time. So what you do is you mark articles that you would like to read later, and then you open them up and Read Quick, and they display them to you one word at a time. That's actually the old version there, but we need a new video. And so your brain, instead of sounding out the words, processes the words as an image so that you can read quicker without getting in the way.
It's like JPEGs.
Yeah.
It's actually, it really works. You do actually read faster, and I think your comprehension goes up. But it's a weird feeling while you're using Read Quick because it's kind of going by, and at first you try to keep up, and then you just relax. And then you read.
You set the tone. I don't go fast. I think there are a lot of people who, write us and they're like, I'm at 800 words a minute now. And I'm like, what? It's possible with the settings, but I can't imagine it or comprehend it rather. I'm still pretty low at like 350.
That's fast.
And I don't feel the need to go much higher than that. Whereas my husband Clayton, he can go almost close to 500. I don't do it for speed, but especially for a show like this where I have a lot to read, I'll mark all my articles in either Pocket or Instapaper and then open it in Read Quick, and I can get through them pretty fast.
Right.
I don't think the iPad's dead, and if it is, I'm in trouble.
This is a Nokia 1520, by the way. This is the perfect combination of tablet and phone.
It's too big.
I love it. Hello.
The other anecdotal thing I'll just throw in on the iPad front is that we have 3 in the house. 2 are the original iPads.
Wow.
Version 1, and mine is a 2. So,
that's why their sales have tailed off.
Yeah.
You feel no need.
They're good enough. You don't have to upgrade too much.
And I'll tell you, I don't see a lot of Android tablets. I don't think Android tablets are cutting the business. I think just everybody who has one has one, and they don't care if they have the 5 or the 4. Whatever they got, that's fine.
They work well.
They work.
You don't need to get another one.
Their shelf life is too long.
That's why computer sales are down, too, because most of the computers sold today last for 5 or 6 years. I remember when you had to buy one every 18 months.
I completely agree. And frankly, I think a lot of people who bought computers didn't need computers. And once they could get an iPad, that's it. They're done. And they're happy. By the way, expect Apple to get much more fashionable, maybe plaid in the next iPad. Angela Ahrendts, it's Dame Angela Ahrendts, commander of the British Empire, former Burberry CEO, is starting work this week.
Yeah, she's going where? I forgot.
She's retail. She's going to run retail for Apple. Right. What's interesting, she was the CEO of Burberry and is widely credited with revitalizing what was a kind of, it's the Mentos effect. It was your grandma's fashion, and then she made Burberry hot again. She will be trying to do the same thing. Although Apple retail's doing fine. They don't need
her. What's the point?
Well, I think Apple has done what a lot of companies. It makes sense for companies to do.
They're fixing something not broken.
No, I disagree. This is a response to the iPad issue. You don't need another iPad, right? Detroit had the same problem. You didn't need another car. How do you make
Detroit cars? You did, but go on.
Well, but how do you make somebody buy cars more often? You put fins on them. How do you make people buy new iPhones? You put a new look on it, and then their old one somehow starts to look dated. Fashion knows all about this, right? Every year, everything looks dated. You got to buy all new clothes. Your clothes don't wear out every year, but you have to buy all new clothes. Well, obviously,
you don't have to. And
you're wearing this shirt from like 1927.
I've got this 1928.
Okay, right after.
I decided to go flannel. I looked at that. Yule guy, what was it? I can't remember.
Yeah, eat tree bark. It's like grape nuts.
Can I stop you for a second?
There goes Denise again. You've chased her off again.
I want you to look at this shot.
Bye, Denise.
Hey, Chad, get back to this shot.
She walked out the door on you, John.
That's fine. So this buzz out loud look has got to go.
What Buzz Out Loud.
I started watching
dare
the
you.
show. I'm telling you.
Buzz Out Loud.
This is something you have to discuss with
You don't
Lisa.
like this where we're sitting in a semicircle facing the audience?
I am going to make...
You want me to get armchairs?
I'm going to say this once only, and I'm only going to do it now, and I want you to have
Lisa's
him...
listening.
She's not. She's left.
No, I was.
Not you. No, Lisa.
Natalie is in charge of the design and look of Twit now.
So
Go ahead,
I'm
tell
on
her.
my new...
You said something about Buzz Out Loud. I'm like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah, what? Exactly.
So I'm watching...
That was my show.
That's right.
I'm on Netflix. What was she...
I know what's next.
So I'm on the...
I know. No, you don't have to hold up a sign. I know.
I'm on the Roku.
I did them out of
It's
order.
getting
That's
late. I'm on the Roku box.
Oh, my God. What time is it? Oh, my God.
Okay,
Go ahead.
This is apparently I'm
Keep
never going to
talking.
get to this
Keep
point.
talking.
Next time I'm on the show, not now, next time, because I want you to get to this, I'm going to bring up something that needs to be discussed in that little show you do with Lisa and
Inside Twit.
whoever seems to be hanging out.
That's what the show is.
You bring them on and you
Yes.
yak at them. And you eat
You
that
wanna-
whole box of food on that show.
You want a new look, is what you're saying.
I'll discuss it on the next time I'm on.
Our show today brought to you by Stamps.com. Have you been to the post office lately, John?
Yes, I go to the post office often because we get checks in the mail.
Oh, see, the post office has this new thing where a person comes to your house and they'll put the checks in the
I have
slot.
a box because I don't need a bunch of mail that can be stolen out of a big...
You know what's convenient about the post office box? They have the recycling bin right there.
Yeah, I know. It's
So the
great.
mail, you just take it out of the box, you put it in the recycling bin.
Yeah, I know.
So easy.
It's fantastic.
But don't go there to buy stamps. That's nuts because you can
You
print
guys should
stamps.
use Paper Karma for your junk mail.
I do. Paper Karma is an awesome app.
It works.
You take a picture of your junk mail, and then they go and they cancel it. What are you laughing at? It works.
It totally works.
I don't get any more catalogs. It's great. Except Victoria's Secret. For some reason, that just can't seem to cancel that.
Code Babes. It's for you.
Stamps.com will print legal postage from your computer, your printer. You do not need a postage meter. You'll even get a digital scale, so you'll always have exactly the right postage. It's a USB, literally USB scale that interfaces with Stamps.com to automatically give you the right postage. The other day, I got a PR firm sent me a product, postage due.
What?
I got to pay 85 cents to see their stupid product.
Huh. Was it any good?
I don't even know because I wouldn't pay the money. They took it back.
Boy,
That's why they should have been using Stamps.com. Always have the right postage. Do not do postage due now. See, the audience is leaving.
I don't blame them.
I don't either. Look at Stamps.
It's late.
It's late.
Yeah.
Stamps.com will print out all the labels. In fact, they'll print right on an envelope if you want. They will fill out the international postage or the return receipt, the customs form. They do that all automatically. You get discounts you can't even get at the post office. I just love it. All I want you to do is go to Stamps.com, click the microphone at the top of the page before you do anything else, and then enter in TWIT as the offer code. You are going to get a $110 bonus offer that will include the USB scale, $55 in free postage, and, of course, a month of Stamps.com. Give it a try today. You're going to love it.
I think that's a great deal. You get free postage.
I still get stuff from people, postage due.
I don't understand why everybody doesn't take
all the way
advantage of this.
across. This is it. This is the product we actually did.
Oh, you did take it. You did pay the 85 cents.
I'm going to give them a plug right now.
Look at this.
These are bunsies, they're called.
This is just nothing.
I paid 85 cents.
These are for your wires.
It's like bungee cords for your wiring.
Yeah.
Denise, are you? Do you keep running out? Are you like? Do you have a child?
No, I'm good. I had the dog in the other room.
Oh.
She needed to come see us. She was not having
She is a sweet. Is she a puppy?
She is. She's 9 months old.
You didn't tell me you got a puppy.
We did. Puppy. Yes, her name's Carmel.
Caramel.
Oh,
yeah, she looks good enough to lick.
Yes.
Facebook had a very good quarter too, as I mentioned, $2.5 billion in revenue. 59% of their ad revenue from mobile. That's a big success. But the best number is user number. What do you think, John C. Dvorak? What do you think Facebook? Don't look. What do you think Facebook's current user base is?
5 billion.
Very good. It's 1.28 billion users.
Not even close.
That's people who use it every month. Well, there's only 6.5 billion in the world, and I don't know how many people. I think they're close to the number of people who are internet connected now, right?
Oh, this is interesting. This thing, but they got a little thing in here.
Sounds like a small child.
I am. Yeah, I got
it. And he pockets it.
I'm going to pocket it. I pocketed it. Yes, I did. These are cool.
Well, at least I got something for my 85 cents in postage.
Yeah, buns.
802 million daily users of Facebook. And of those, 609 are on mobile. 609 million daily mobile users. A huge success. That was the big question mark on Facebook. Can they go mobile? Am I boring you?
No, I'm listening. This is great.
Amazon. They showed a little bit of profit. Earnings in line with expectations of 23 cents a share. $19.7 billion in revenue, though. That's up almost 23% from their revenue last quarter. Huge growth in revenue. In fact, that's where they beat the analysts. Amazon is just, and you know, the profit they can dial in and out.
The company's on fire.
How would you change this show?
I'll talk about it next time I'm on.
No, that's
there's
just,
a number of things going on. The problem is, here's what happened to me. I go to my Roku box and there's Twit.
Yes.
And so I click around and it turns out that they actually have this show as a special thing. So you click on it and it shows the thing in HD. It's glamorous.
It's gorgeous.
But then all I see is it looks to me, and I'll talk about this in more detail. It looks like Buzz Out Loud. It's like it's these stupid computers and these giant microphones.
Okay, with the disparaging talk about Buzz Out Loud, I've had quite enough of
You know
that.
that was her show, right?
No, I thought she had a different show. I'm talking about the show that used to have Molly Wood and Tom Merritt.
I was a co-host of Buzz Out Loud.
Okay, well, whatever. It's beside the point. It was a show where they got these. I remember the days when it was Merritt and Molly.
What do you want? You want us to take off our clothes slowly during the show?
No, I want the show to be watchable. I want to get rid of these stupid screens and put some lavs on people instead of these dumb mics. You at least got rid of the cans, which was really bad. You see all these guys doing podcasting that had two big cans on their head, and then they got a big giant mic. It's horrible looking. We don't want to see any of this. And and then there's the screen. It's you're more TV. You don't need the big microphone, the big dick microphone.
You know this. Oh, thank you. I didn't know you cared. This is a great idea for a show that I want you to do.
Have you ever seen the Tom Hartman show? He's got this huge mic in front of him. It's like he's on TV. What are you doing with a radio mic?
Silly. You're making Lisa uncomfortable.
She didn't design the show.
No, it's been this way forever.
I'm just saying it should be upgraded to something a little.
Hey, here's some good news. Amazon is going to pay HBO $3.
My piece.
We should all wear more flannel shirts. I think that would help.
This flannel shirt is what it is, but I'm just telling you, this is an old look.
It's not. It's a
Buzz
timeless.
Out Loud.
It's a timeless look.
Okay.
Started with Jack Parr.
Excuse me, Buzz Out Loud was hip.
Buzz Out Loud was hot.
Still would be.
Oh,
Buzz
yeah.
Out Loud was happening.
Yeah, they were throwing money at it left and right.
Ouch!
Oh my
What?
God.
I did what I
You guys
say.
hurt
You
my
guys are.
feelings.
You know what? How did Cranky Geeks look?
Cranky Geeks, we had lavs on. There wasn't a big computer in front of everybody.
Is
a
that
big,
show still on?
Giant mic.
Is that show still on? You're still doing that, right? Every week.
So this is your argument?
Yes.
Huh.
There's a reason why this is the I don't know what it is, but there is a reason why this is the most listened to technology show in the world.
Yeah, listened to.
Or watched.
You watch it on
What percentage watches this show, Lisa? 15%. Never mind. Jeff Bezos will pay. Most people are listening.
Yes, obviously. This is designed for a listening show.
You would watch if you knew that Denise Howell had a puppy with her right now.
Puppy!
Puppies.
Keeping the puppy on screen.
You're missing the puppy. Yes. You need to watch more.
And the computers are not a prop. You guys are using them to actually read what's going on, which is kind of unique in a news show.
We're talking into them. It's not like the Tonight Show where they have a prop mic while everybody's wearing lavaliers.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying. You don't have to listen to anything I've got to say. It's fine with me.
My husband says that Cranky Geeks look like Charlie Rose show, where you're like,
it did.
You don't need the computer. You're just pretending to.
Yeah, we're just pretending.
It's all up here.
It's all in here.
I'm doing my email on this computer.
John read everything off a prompter. We all know.
He's tweeting.
Jeff Bezos will pay HBO
jump on me. It's no big
more
deal.
than $300 million
You started it.
over the next 3 years.
It's fine. I made my piece. I think you're going to take it or leave it.
You want to play with my phone some more?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I don't even care about this story anymore.
And well, you should. Who cares
about
what Bezos is
making? As I
making?
said, I watch.
This is good for you. Amazon Prime
on a tablet. Yeah, the more programming, the better.
Historically, HBO has been very reluctant. In fact, they didn't even sell stuff on iTunes for a long time. Then they said, "All right, we'll sell you Game of Thrones, but a year after the show airs." This is huge. They're finally entering the 21st century. Amazon Prime, which is free,
which is kind of what I'm talking about,
will have access to HBO shows, but not all of them. In fact, mostly just old stuff.
Old crap.
The Sopranos, 6 Feet Under. We've all watched these.
Fantastic.
The Wire, Eastbound and Down. There's a show. Have you seen that?
No. I think I saw one episode and didn't care much for it.
Family Tree, Treme, Band of Brothers.
Oh, that's good. Family Tree's funny.
I haven't seen Family Tree. That's good.
It's good. And so is Veep. I'm into that.
Love Veep.
Love it.
In fact, this is a very bad night for me because I literally have 6 hours of television every Sunday night now.
You know, if Chad's going to tag me with the camera, it's got to be on for more than 1 second.
He's fast. He's trying to make it more.
Boom. I'm on there for 1 second.
Make it hipper.
And then bam, you're gone.
He's trying to move it around.
Boom.
We're hipper.
Maybe I'm in a bad mood.
They didn't switch this fast on Buzz Out Loud.
You think?
They didn't switch at all. I think it was a one-camera shoot.
Yes, we did. I'm going to wake my kids. I didn't mean to scream that loud. Yes, we did.
This show's going to 9 o'clock tonight. I'm not watching any TV.
Get him in here because that was his job.
Mad Men, Game of Thrones tonight. Mad Men, Game of Thrones, Silicon Valley, Veep. Am I missing anything?
Silicon Valley is going down the tubes, by the way.
And Cosmos.
Can we talk about Silicon Valley for a quick second?
Love that show.
It's a dog. And I'll tell you why. I do not believe, and it's not going to work. It's because
by the way, John, before you go on, it's already been renewed for a second season.
Fine.
Okay.
What, another 7 episodes? Mike Judge cannot make fun of a clown. If you watch this crazy stuff that goes on in Silicon Valley, it's so silly and outrageous. Like that long-haired guy with the British accent that's been the rage recently spoke at some for AOL.
Oh, yeah,
that guy,
Shingy or whatever. Yeah,
that guy, and these other guys that are out there, and the people that are singing. It's like it's so silly and idiotic.
It's already too comedic. You can't make it. You can't make fun of it.
Somebody said you cannot ridicule a clown. Oh, look, he's got big feet and a red nose.
Don't you love though the fake Peter Thiel character?
I love that. I love the show, but I know it's not going to work because he's not going far enough. And I think every episode's deteriorated.
Yeah,
I thought
maybe.
The first episode was the best.
I've only seen 3, so we'll see.
Well,
Amazon is going to offer True Blood at Boardwalk Empire, but I don't think they're going to see. I think HBO is so reluctant to put their stuff on too quickly. They really want to get those subscribers. But 1,700 titles of HBO. Oh no, that's HBO Go. They are going to bring that to the Fire TV. I mean, and Amazon Prime subscribers for $99 will get HBO, some HBO stuff for free. I think that's good. Amazon is said to be testing its own shipping network. I've been waiting for them to just buy UPS outright. Which wouldn't that make sense?
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Did you see that the post office is using Staples?
The post office has got all kinds of crazy things going on.
They're using Staples to deliver mail and to do your post office box will be in Staples. And Amazon apparently is going to look at. By the way, they've added a new. Have you seen the new Amazon box service, the dry goods service they're doing?
No.
So they have Amazon Fresh in certain cities. They have Amazon Subscribe and Save. Now they have Prime Pantry. These guys, they basically.
Why do I want to buy pickles from Amazon?
I'll tell you why. $6.
You can buy them in a recurring manner. So you
that's Subscribe and Save, and I love that. But they keep taping things off Subscribe and Save, so it's bad. It's a bad experience because you'll sign up for Pampers. I know you only use cloth diapers, but you'll sign up for Pampers.
I wasn't going to lecture.
And I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. But then they'll take it off, and then all of a sudden you don't get any more, and you go back and you look and they say, oh, Procter & Gamble no longer puts those on Subscribe and Save. This is a $6 box, 45 pounds. Fill it up.
With what?
Hard stuff. Anything you want. Chips, pickles, toilet paper, Tide. This is them going right up against the grocery store.
I like to go to the grocery store and look and see what's fresh and what they got.
You're so old.
It's like, don't you want the freshest looking stuff you can find? Some good looking piece of meat or some chicken that looks like it's not rotten. Who knows what they put in these boxes? It's definitely not the top drawer stuff.
You know what? I subscribe to Prime Fresh, and I've been really impressed with the meat and the produce. Someone is picking this stuff.
Yeah, see?
And doing a good job of picking out what you would pick.
See?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Now.
By the way, Netflix is doing a deal with cable operators. They're going to launch on 3 cable operators through an app on TiVos.
On TiVos?
RCN, Atlantic Broadband, and Grand Communications. They are actually cable operators. I'm not making this up. Not exactly Comcast size. But they're going to put Netflix on TiVo. I'm not sure I really understand even what this deal is.
Netflix on TiVo.
TiVos already have Netflix.
Yeah, don't they?
Mine does.
Mine does too. I don't even understand.
Almost everything has Netflix on it.
At first it sounded like it was a cable channel on these cable operators but
it'll be in the cable guide.
Because,
okay. This is why cable is nuts.
That's why.
This is the quote. Watching Netflix will be as easy as picking up the remote and changing the channel.
But it is.
Wow.
Stop saying that.
Those guys are nuts.
These people are idiots.
Yeah, thank you.
That's the quote. Have you got the new Twitter profile? I did.
I haven't done it yet.
You can do it.
They offered it,
it's like Facebook.
This is like...
It's pretty. And then you get to pin one tweet to the top. So that's the one I pinned to the top. And then, you see the size of the text? Tweets that get favorited or retweeted get big size fonts. And then the little... So you can quickly see...
That part I don't like.
It's awfully big, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean...
Maybe I've got the... Oh, see, I have the...
Now you can't read it. It's 6 point.
Yeah. But I think that's kind of cool. No, but who uses Twitter on the desktop? Nobody.
I do.
Do you do?
Oh, yeah.
On like a computer with
a
browser?
Yeah.
How's Internet Explorer 6 treating you these days?
I don't use that.
Oh.
I know you're trying to insult me in some odd way, but it's not working.
I don't know what happened on this show. Something went
the
wrong.
show's gone too long. That's the problem.
All right, let's get out of here. But first, a word from Citrix and the folks who do GoToMeeting. Because if you are in a business, you got to have meetings. Meetings are critical. Especially when people don't work together in the same office. You got to get them together. I know a lot of teams that actually keep GoToMeeting running all day, which is nice because you don't pay by the minute or by the call. You pay a flat rate and you've got it. Millions of small business professionals rely on GoToMeeting. Why? Because you get on the same page. You see each other's screens. You can see each other face-to-face with their built-in HD video conferencing. You can present. You can demonstrate. You can meet on any Mac, any tablet, any PC, any smartphone, anywhere. GoToMeeting is a lifesaver. We use it all the time. We even if it's just going to be a teleconference, we just do the GoToMeeting just in case because you want it. You can turn on the camera. You can share the screen. See why millions choose GoToMeeting. Start hosting your own face-to-face online meetings today. It couldn't be easier. Visit GoToMeeting.com. Click the Try It Free button and use the promo code TWIT. You got it free for 30 days. GoToMeeting. What would you pick of all the tweets that you had as your pinned tweet, the top of your, the tweet that says who you are?
I
like this one. This is what I picked. It should be clear to everyone by now that Twit Live is a reality show, not fake reality, real reality.
Really, you believe that?
And that's how we like it.
Okay.
I believe it.
That's fine.
Even if there's microphones and...
Big, giant microphones.
I'm just gonna say...
At least the cans are gone. That's a plus.
I have in-ear headphones now. Any thoughts on Aereo, the Supreme Court?
Yeah, I have thoughts on it.
Heard oral arguments.
I wrote a column on this.
Go ahead.
I think the whole thing is a scam from the get-go.
Yeah, Barry Diller planned it this way.
Well, it's fine. I think it's
nothing wrong with that.
But the idea is just purely a trick. These little antennas are bogus. You don't need them. You can just consolidate the signal. You don't have to have everyone have their own little antennas because it's a technicality that you have your own antenna. And this guy's showing them. I think the whole thing was set up to be a scam. But it may turn out that they win this case. when the Supreme Court decides on whether or not it's legal what they're doing. And then once they do that, they can get rid of these stupid little antennas and just consolidate the signal, because John Roberts said that this little part of this little antenna is not the point, which is good for the little company.
Denise, what do you think of the case? Did you read any of the? I'm waiting for the oral arguments to be published. I don't know if they've done that yet.
They have been. The transcript has been out there since the argument, and the actual audio of the argument was just published. I put it in my Twitter stream. There's a link there.
What do you think?
I disagree with John. I think that just because somebody has figured out a way to make a technology that, even if it's not the most efficient way to do it, it complies with the law and follows the law.
A gimmick.
That it may be a gimmick, but it's a legal gimmick. And I don't think, what I'm hoping the court will do is decide, look, we didn't create this situation, Congress did. And if Congress doesn't like people using gimmicks to comply with copyright law, then Congress can change it. But the law as it's written now, if we're going to follow past Supreme Court precedents and the way that we have treated VCRs and fair use, then we have to let Aereo stand. I'm not sure that's what the court's going to do, but that's what I hope it does.
Is Cablevision the relevant precedent?
Cablevision and Betamax, going all the way back to...
so Cablevision was an online DVR, and the court ruled that they didn't violate copyright because the user had to actively press a button. It was the user doing it, whether the DVR was in your house or in the Cablevision centers, it didn't matter. Aereo's argument is, well, it's exactly the same. Aereo does nothing until the user pushes a button and records a show or turns a show on. The user's renting an antenna. We do not provide copyrighted material. We merely provide an antenna.
Right.
That seems like a good argument to me.
It seems to me to be,
and I don't think it's. Here's the thing. I don't think it's a trick, John. It's Barry and Barry Diller said this. He said when we set up this company, we thought, how can we do this legally? And we did what we
found a loophole.
That's not a loophole. They followed the law.
It's still a loophole in some funny way. And here's what I'm.
But that's a judgment. That's a subjective judgment.
Let me just say here's what I'm going to say. People bitch and moan and complain forever about, oh, he got off on a technicality. These technicalities, it's like they're exploiting the law. They're on that side of the argument 90% of the time. But when this technicality benefits them, everybody's all in. I mean, I just find it to be a cheap trick, and that's all I feel about it. I think I would love to have a subscription. But I'm not fooling myself.
If you go through the oral argument, the justices are kind of with John. I mean, I always like to look at if you can discern who the court thinks is wearing the white hat in the case. Who are the good guys? And I don't think the court thinks Aereo are the good guys, unfortunately, because of this whole perception that, oh, you just designed this to be able to do this thing that's slamming the cable industry and the satellite industry. Well,
it is, after all, Barry Diller who has been on the other side for a long time, and it does feel a little bit like a revenge play, does it not? But the judges aren't supposed to look at that, right? They're supposed to look at the law.
Right. And we won't know. I mean, they sort of telegraph how they're thinking about things through their questions, and we won't know until we get their decision before the end of the term. They clearly are concerned about not shutting down the cloud. They're concerned about...
That I thought was interesting. Tell me why that's a concern. They wanted to make sure that Dropbox, for example, wasn't adversely impacted by a judgment against Aereo. Why?
Because if you're remotely storing something on Dropbox, if what Cablevision is doing, if what Aereo is doing is wrong, then it's a public performance, perhaps, when you are using your Dropbox account to store something that's infringing copyright.
Justice Roberts referred to this. Chief Justice Roberts referred to this, and I got the impression that he was asking the lawyers for ABC, how can we write a decision that won't adversely impact Dropbox but still finds in your favor?
Right.
Although, is it not the case, and this has been my experience listening to oral arguments, which I love to. It's really fun. Oyez.org, oyez.org, and the Supreme Court now publishes them as well, is you can't always tell what they're thinking from their questions. Sometimes they're almost the opposite of what they're thinking.
Yeah, sometimes they're playing devil's advocate for some other people on the bench that they want to convince. So it's we can't really read a whole lot into their questions. It's fascinating.
Although it seems pretty clear that Justice Scalia didn't really know that HBO wasn't free. He thought it was broadcast. But the rest of them, okay, especially Justice Sotomayor.
You didn't know about Code Babe, so let's.
Well, maybe. He's been watching that regularly. Justice Sotomayor, I thought, showed a really good grasp of this. And in fact, apparently has a Roku box. So she look I'm taking anything I can get from these guys. Traditionally, the courts have not been the most technical.
True.
But I'm surprised at the savvy, actually, in this case of the Supreme Court. They seem to somewhat understand the issues here. Whether they rule correctly, I don't know. Do you think there's a correct ruling?
Yeah, I think the correct ruling is that Aereo is not infringing.
Because they're...
and that this is not a public performance.
Right.
Because of the way they designed their technology. And if the cable industry has a real problem with this, and if Congress agrees, then they can rewrite the law so that this sort of thing is not legal. But I think that they carefully examined how they could go about pulling down over-the-air broadcast, and that they came up with this solution, and that I think they're right. Or
the networks could do what they've promised they'll do and pull their free over-the-air broadcasts.
Right.
That's big talk. They're not going to do that.
They can't do that.
It's all talk. Imagine the spectrum that will be freed up if that happens. Derek Kana has a great article on that point.
Let's take it. We'll take it. Aereo right now is in Atlanta, Austin, Baltimore, Boston, Cincinnati, Dallas, Detroit. They're really widespread. Houston, Miami. They started in Manhattan and San Antonio. Do you have Aereo, Natalie? You could.
No, I don't.
Would you like to? I could arrange it.
You can get it free.
Sure. We'll give it a try.
Do you think it is... I mean, you can see all this stuff over the air now. This just makes it possible to see it over the air on your iPad. How is that? There's all the commercials.
How much TV do you want to watch?
It's nice, but it's on demand too. It's time shifted.
That's the sneaky one.
Right.
If they'd left the DVR portion out, would there be an issue? I think there still would be.
Yeah.
Well, because I think the cable companies, the networks want retransmission fees from the cable companies. They want them from Aereo. Aereo said, "We're not. If we lose, that's it. We're closing the doors." And in fact, they did that in Denver when they lost a case in circuit court. Very interesting. We live in interesting times.
We do.
Yeah. Denise Howell, it's so great to have you. Thank you for staying the whole show. You weren't required to. You have a puppy. You could be right now playing on the grass with your puppy.
I'm going to, in fact, go play on the grass with the puppy.
That's wonderful. So nice to see you. This Week in Law is a must-watch show. In fact, the last two shows especially, of course, talking about the FCC rules, and then previously Teach Your Robots Well.
Yes. Our robot overlords. Do you know who we have next week?
Who?
We have Kyle Courtney, who's the copyright advisor for Harvard University. And as though he weren't enough, we have Bruce Schneier.
Bruce is great. Oh, that's going to be a great show. Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1800 UTC. Yep. I want more people to watch this show. I think a lot of people see This Week in Law and they go, oh, that's not for me. You know what? It is. It's for everybody. This is a fascinating area. And you get really good people. Bruce Schneier next week should be really good.
Yeah. The chat room's always very nice to us. They make us feel good about what we do.
That's weird.
You know what? They are. Not only that, they come to me and they say, did you listen to Twill? People do this all the time. Did you listen to Twill yet? It was really good this week. They say that all the time.
Well, we love it.
Chat rooms like Google+.
We love doing it.
It's a higher form of discourse.
Well,
as opposed to this show.
Well, I don't know about that.
They teach me a lot without taking off their clothing. I think.
Natalie Morris, always great to have you. We can see you on NBC on the Today Show. Do you do that like every month? Is there a schedule or?
There's no schedule.
Whenever there's something to talk about.
Yeah.
I love seeing you there, though. I know her. At Natalie Morris, Natali Morris on Twitter.
And you can go to readquickapp.net if you'd like.
Everybody should buy the Morris's app. They're just a little couple working out of a garage in Lake Tinky-Wink, and they're...
I'm sorry, it's readquickapp.com. I do that every show.
Readquickapp.com.
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 That's right.
That's because you read too fast and your comprehension is going downhill. You know, our kids are
stupider
stupid.
by the minute.
Your kids are?
John C. Dvorak, noagendashow.com. What would you like to plug?
Noagendashow.com is worth plugging. Also, Dvorak.org/blog. You know, I was thinking about that because today I actually remembered.
And then you thought better of it.
No, what I thought was, okay, if you were going to give him the vinegar, he's going to, because I know what's going to happen. You're going to taste and go, holy crap, I can't believe that this vinegar even exists in this universe. But I don't have the book to sell. So I've got to finish the book, and then I'll bring the vinegar.
It's going to be a Kindle single?
I don't know yet.
99 cents. You should make it a Kindle single.
I might.
Everybody wants to make vinegar, but there's never been the definitive guide to vinegar making.
And I have to take, when I finish the manuscript, I'm going to send it to a couple of microbiologists so they can give their seal of approval. Because people are making vinegar from this crazy Xylonex bacteria.
Don't make it from Xylonex.
No, it's the stuff that's like the big vinegar thing. It's a floppy. It's like a floppy disk.
You get the mother, and it's horrible.
Anyway.
What should we be making with, John?
You should be making with the real vinegar culture, Acetobacter.
Where do we get Acetobacter?
It's in the wine. Most wine.
So you don't need
Europe.
to add anything.
For European wine has it in there, and you can let it bloom inside.
We just wrote the book for you. Go transcribe that.
There's more to it.
You got it. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We do Twit. God, this is the longest Twit ever.
Yeah. It's pretty long.
I am so sorry. I apologize to all of you. It was good, though, wasn't it? I think we had fun, and I just went whizzing by.
Yeah.
But we actually
at all.
had to go get food during the show, and
I went potty during the
go to the bathroom during the Aereo discussion. You didn't leave, though. Do you have a catheter? What do you?
No, she's using a
No, I
bucket.
got up and walked away. I'm glad you really missed my insight.
No, I saw her leave.
Do you have anything to say about Aereo?
No, that's why when you came back and said, "What do you think?" I was like, "Uh-huh."
Uh-huh. I'm zipping up my pants right now. I don't know. Uh-huh.
Reality TV indeed.
I don't know. I'll let that one slide.
Ladies and gentlemen, we do this show at 3 p.m. Pacific every Sunday afternoon. You really have to be here for this. You don't want to miss it. That's 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 2200 UTC. If you want to be in studio, you can do that as well. We have a nice crowd from Denmark, from New Zealand, from all over the world. Guy drove here from Winnipeg, 34 hours.
What?
In a Mercedes-Benz SLK.
That's a long drive.
He said the shocks were shot. G. Scott is on his way to Minnesota. And he thought he'd stop off on the way from Tahoe to Minnesota. We're in the middle.
He's going to end up in Hawaii the way he's going.
Minnesota. I don't really understand it, but it's geography. It's all makes sense. So if you want to be here, tickets at twit.tv. And sometimes John will be here, too. Well, if you want, when you ask for tickets, we'll warn you ahead of time. If we keep going, we could actually overlap with Game of Thrones. Wouldn't that be cool?
I don't watch Game of Thrones.
Not for me.
You don't watch Game of Thrones?
No,
it wouldn't be cool if we overlap.
Right.
No, because I'm on the East Coast. So
that's what I'm saying.
It'll be soon.
20 minutes, it starts.
Yeah. I got it hard out, you guys.
I know. Are you really into it?
There's a dragon involved.
Red wedding, purple wedding. What's next?
The Game of Groans.
Lisa says it's just softcore porno.
I think that's true.
Well, she's right about that. I watch it like this.
Hey, there were only 2 breasts in the first episode. I was very disappointed.
There was an
I don't know why
ancestral rape.
Just learn to code.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one. Okay, you're right. That's right.
Okay, here we go.
But they kept their clothes on. I mean, incestuous rape, though, that is going a little far, isn't it?
Oh, chat room, if you just gave something away,
just a story.
I'm going to be mad.
Sorry.
I'm logging out right now.
Don't watch the chat room.
You're punished, chat room. I'm leaving without saying
they don't
goodbye.
know. They don't know what happened. They have no idea what happened. Anyway, we're so glad you watched. Please, if you don't watch, get the audio or video download after the fact. I call it video on demand. Others call it a podcast. What is an iPod anyway?
I don't know.
But you can always get that wherever you get your shows.
Selling 2.7 million.
You know what you should really do? You should get the Twit app on Android, on iPhone. We have a Windows Phone app on Roku.
Or you can watch
that way
it on
you
Roku.
Won't miss
exactly,
a minute.
yeah. Roku.
What?
Roku.
We're live on Roku.
That's what's bringing me to this point.
Big screen TV, and that's why we look like Buzz Out Loud.
Exactly.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Another Twit.
This is
in the can.
amazing.
Thank you.